Boom, 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 boom. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Great Ape Debate of 2025. I'm joined today by my wonderful co-host, Calix Debonair, famed monkey enthusiast, much like myself. Calix, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, am I famed? Am I famed for my
I think so, personally.
It is wonderful to meet you. I am Calix Debonair, the charming bouncer of NIJISANJI EN's 11th Wave by the Beat.
I'll say.
To make your acquaintance.
Wonderful. So, today is going to be very interesting. The moment I heard that you were a fan of monkeys, I was like, okay, we need to do something about this. And recently I had done my monkey tier list where I just ranked them purely based on vibes. But today I thought that as a goofy men's locker room conversation, what we could do is try to compare which of these apes would win in a bracket style fight to the death tournament and to see which one will emerge on top. And obviously some of these ones, you know, you can kind of tell who will most likely wind up being the winner, but I think it's down to the moment to moment matches that lead us there. And I got this whole bracket set up. We even have it in a double elimination format, so there's going to be a losers bracket as well, taking us all the way down. So you never know who might have an absolutely historic losers run on the way back. If they got someone, you know, like Winston goes up against Sun Wukong early on, and then suddenly Winston just carves through the losers bracket. You never know what might happen. So I think it'll be pretty fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I did not realize it was so big.
I mean, we don't have to finish it. We could just do as much or as little of it as we like. But, you know,
I want the whole thing.
I
need
yes.
to see it to totality.
Hells, yes. Okay. Oh my goodness.
And honestly, probably among the more respectable things you could compare in a men's locker room, as you mentioned.
All right. So, to start us off, we have two incredible. So round one, we've got like the early seed before like the majority of them, because the bracket software doesn't really know how to handle this many competitors, I don't think. So we're gonna start off. Oh, Calix is a little low. Let me dial you up slightly. Hold up. I think that's my bad. I have Discord audio dialed down a little bit in OBS. So can you speak a little bit? Is that better? They're saying it's perfect. All right, nice. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
So to start off, right at the top, we have King Louie from the Jungle Book versus Winston from Overwatch. Let's think about their abilities. They're both... So this is interesting because what we have to begin with is two completely sentient, speaking, communicating apes. You know, they're both big monkeys. I guess it depends on which continuity we're talking about, but what is your immediate assumption based on this?
It is kind of important to clarify, because I think in the original animated Jungle Book, he's just like an orangutan, right? But in the live action, he's a gigantopithecus, which is like an extinct, super big, like a much larger than a gorilla type. So I feel like if it were the live action, it might be less of a contest. So I'm not too sure.
It's interesting, right? I feel as though I've not read the original Rudyard Kipling Jungle Book, but I feel as though I remember something about Gigantopithecus being more a part of his identity, I guess. He is a king ape, you know, he does, and I think that you know, even though I definitely prefer the original animated film, I do feel that the much larger character feels more fitting of him. So for today, I'll say we've got Winston, who is a normal-sized gorilla but with access to sci-fi technology, versus a very, very large orangutan. I feel like King Louie has this, because I don't know if because Winston, remember, if you played Overwatch, Winston, he's like better at dealing with squishy targets with his Tesla cannon. He can deal with little guys, but tanks, on a tank 1v1, he's never really the guy to go for it. So against a really big target, I feel like Winston kind of doesn't really have what it takes to deal with King Louie, you know, a really, really big opponent like that.
And I feel like Louie would be the type to hit a guy with glasses.
Oh my god.
So I feel like it's really no contest to me in this case, and he's
I
You gotta
think so.
think
There
Louis
is
also like a master manipulator, so he's crafty too.
He's
not
a
just strong.
bastard, yeah. Winston's too, he's very honest, he's very humble, and he might have that sort of protagonist buff. He might have that Deus Ex Machina X Factor. Speaking of X Factor, he also has his alt, Primal Rage, where he can kind of get a second wind a little bit, but Primal Rage, again, doesn't really do much damage. It's more for knocking people around, and could he ever knock King Louis around? Probably not.
I don't think he could. I really don't. I feel like this is an easy win for Louis.
An easy win for King Louis, I think so. All right, King Louis moves along. Thanks for a little logo in the middle there. Level Up Easy Bracket. Shoutouts to you guys for making this piece of software that happened to be good. All right, next up. Oh my god, this is an insane matchup. What the fuck is this? Koba from Planet of the Apes, typically Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, versus the real gorilla from SpongeBob.
Okay. Okay, I have a sin as a monkey enjoyer.
Yeah?
As much as I love them, I've never in my entire life seen a single Planet of the Apes. What? So I don't know the first thing about Koba.
The vibes are incredible. Like as monkeys, it's literally like just constant monkey aura farming. It's unbelievable, you know. Like Koba. So, all right, I'll run you down Koba. Koba is I believe, bonobo who was experimented on in the first film, and he has this giant scar on his face. And by the second film, he becomes like an advisor to Caesar. Oh shit, my microphone. Becomes an advisor. That was Koba right there. You know, he was messing with me. He becomes an advisor to Caesar, who is like the leader of ape society. But he kind of has a lot of hatred for human beings, and he wants apes to rule the earth, and he's got a lot of anger. He's a very, you know, there's a great scene where he kind of pretends to be a funny monkey and goes up to these human rebels in the second one, and he grabs one of their guns and he's like throwing it around being like and then suddenly he like turns it around and shoots them. And he's very crafty. He's nasty.
He looks nasty.
He's very, very nasty. But the real gorilla from SpongeBob does have access to a zebra to run around on.
I was gonna ask, is he in the ring on his own? Or does he have a companion?
I think all bets are off. With these fighters, it's gotta be everybody has access to all of their abilities. You know, no equalizing it, no random rules. It's just whatever they could possibly do. Maximum prep time for that monkey battle.
Okay, I've never seen Planet of the Apes, but is Koba like a leader? Does he have like a legion behind him?
He does. He's able to get like a group of monkeys kind of to him.
I feel like all that next to a real gorilla, just a regular gorilla and a single zebra. I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty easy win, though.
I think so too. And also, it's like if we kind of delve deeper into the context of that SpongeBob episode, it is a human being wearing a gorilla suit at the end of the day, and that zebra is two human beings inside a little zebra thing. So Koba's hatred for human beings and seeing a more unnatural gorilla might give him an insane motivation and might make him even more furious, you know?
It's his own his own primal rage.
I feel like, yeah, Koba is definitely the winner here. I'm looking forward to this one.
that is wow. Wait, like from Dora?
yeah. Unfortunately, I think so. All right, so that's the first round, just kind of getting the seeds figured out. So now we can start working through this ridiculous list. Okay. King Louis versus Space Chimps.
Space Chimps.
I've never seen Space Chimps. All I know is that you've got, I think, 3 or 4 apes in space, and I think the one scene from the trailer I remember is one of them on a treadmill and he falls off, and it's like kind of funny, you know. I think that's about it, really.
So cute. They look cute in their little suits. So I guess they're intelligent. This is like a kid's
yes
cartoon?
I believe they are.
CGI?
If they're in space, I'd wager they are, you know, smarter than your average ape. So probably, you know, King Louis politically smart, Space Chimps scientifically smart, and even though they have a numbers advantage, I still feel like King Louis clears here. You know, big.
Yeah, right. He's
ape.
Just that strong. But I do wonder if there are 5 of them and they're really intelligent. I do wonder if they could come up with something. What is the actual setting of these fights, by the way? I probably should have clarified earlier. Are they in like a traditional like world martial arts tournament scenario? That's what I'm imagining.
Let's say it's like a giant sort of jungle arena, and they can't. It's like the Colosseum. They're in the Colosseum, and there's no obstacles. It's just a big thing of sand, jungle floor, whatever, and they square off, and then some great ape emperor is like, fight! And then they just have to run at each other, you know?
Yeah, no, there's no question. That's King Louis by far in that case. I feel like if they don't have an environment to work with, I don't think they could come up with anything.
I think so. All right, in that case, yeah, King Louis advances. Now this is really interesting. Donkey Kong versus the Guardian Ape. Have you ever played Sekiro?
No, but I am vaguely familiar.
So, this is a really interesting one because from what we know about Donkey Kong, he has a lot of feats of strength that are kind of, you know when like you think about Minecraft and you think about Steve and you wonder how strong is Steve, and then you say, well, he can carry 64 stacks of cubic meters of gold on his person and not experience any kind of adverse effects. So he can carry like several million tons at any time, and it's like, well, okay, so if we take gameplay seriously, Donkey Kong has like punched the moon and had it travel back into the land, but
and just like Steve, as recent as the most recent trailer, he's like punching stone into nothing.
Exactly. He can just clear that, and he can pick up stone. He has the ability to seemingly like animate inanimate objects, animate stone into like a spinning disc and then ride around on it. So if he's that strong, I feel like he might actually beat the Guardian Ape. But the thing about Donkey Kong is that he's from a very family-friendly line of games. You know, if you could consider games as difficult as Donkey Kong Country to be family-friendly, I think they should be adults only for the trauma that I've been through.
I don't know. Some of those in-game areas are a little too rough to clear.
Yeah,
and even as early as the first one, like that's pretty brutal. He's captured somebody and he's throwing. Well, I guess that was his grandfather actually. That was the guy that became Cranky Kong.
Yeah,
in the original Donkey Kong. But
exactly. That was Cranky Kong.
He comes from a lineage of cruelty and hate.
Have you ever played Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo?
Yes, actually.
I feel like Donkey Kong Country 2 is the hardest game I have ever played. I feel like I have played Souls games to so much, and I think Donkey Kong Country is so much worse. Like, something about those games just broke me so bad.
I know. Especially, I feel like coming back to a lot of older games in general, when like accustomed to the standards of newer games that are made more palatable for kids. When it is legitimately even just a little difficult, I feel like I start to fizzle out.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, there's some challenges there. So I feel like he doesn't have to be too PG. I feel like he could. Yeah. I think he could commit some atrocities.
Okay. So they're both going crazy. They're both fighting to the death. Now, Guardian Ape, you haven't played Sekiro, so I'll give you a brief rundown of his abilities. Right, the Guardian Ape, his fight is incredible. He's one of, I think, the best animated apes because he really does roll around and sprint very much like a real monkey, and they somehow take the aggression of a small monkey and like increase it in size to this giant guy. He's got a move where he pulls shit out of his ass and throws it at you and it poisons you. He's got a move where if you start hitting him from behind, he farts on you and runs away. He's like, he just spins, he practically starts breakdancing. And then the big thing about him is that he is technically somewhat immortal. And once you cut his head off, he picks his own head back up and then gets a surprise second health bar. And he has this like evil scream and starts throwing his sword around and stuff like that. And in order to finally kill him, you have to like yank the centipede out of his neck and stab that. And that's the source of his immortality. So there are two X factors, I think, with each of these guys. Donkey Kong has like, it has like remarkable strength. You know, he's got that. He can sort of, you know, we've seen him punch the moon into the land and all of that, which is pretty crazy. But what the Guardian Ape has is he's got that. He can come back after, and as long as the centipede is intact, he can always come back. And in his second phase, he has this move where he does a big scream, and if you get, it builds up the stacks of terror, and if the terror stacks out and it maxes out, you instantly die guaranteed. So I feel like if Donkey Kong is caught close enough to him and he hits him with that, then it's a shoo-in for the Guardian Ape. But it depends on if he even gets a chance. If Donkey Kong can just flatten his skull instantly,
yeah,
then
right?
I don't know. Someone
hard
said
to
this
say
is
as well, 'cause,
gore
like,
of their comfort character. I'm sorry, this is just what monkeys are like.
That is gore of my comfort character. No, I genuinely, it's also important to consider when there is a character who there is a guaranteed path to taking them down, you know? Whereas with Donkey Kong, we've never really seen him perish in any way because of the nature of the Nintendo game, right?
Yeah, he's
So
lost.
it's hard to say where his
He's been
where his limits really
defeated, but he's never fully been killed before. So
yeah, right. I do. It might just be my bias showing, but I do really want to think that Donkey Kong could figure the gimmick out and take care of the centipede. But I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, if it wouldn't really be a matter of him figuring it out. It would be a matter of him just beating the guardian ape into an absolute pulp until he eventually finds the centipede by chance, doesn't notice that he's defeated it, and then just keeps beating him up, and then suddenly the guardian ape doesn't get back up, and he's just like, well, I've done it. So
that's just Tuesday for DK.
Yeah. All right. I think in that case, it's kind of the guardian ape, is if he can get that scream off. This is a very close one, but I feel like Donkey Kong has too many feats of strength to count out, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also just kind of desperate to see him go further. I'd be really sad to see a
It's
great
true.
like
It's true.
DK
Okay, we
knocked
need.
out this early.
I think Guardian Ape is going to go on an absolute losers run tear. He's going to destroy everybody in the losers bracket, but we're going to have to see it. Okay. Caesar from Planet of the Apes versus Jack from Pirates of the Caribbean, who's the little undead monkey.
Yeah.
So Caesar is just a super intelligent chimpanzee who can talk and says, apes together strong. And Jack is
That's what that comes from.
Yes.
Okay, I recognize that
That's
phrase.
from the phone. Apes together strong. And he sort of, has like this weak monkey voice, but he does figure out how to speak and communicate and all of that. And Jack is just kind of like, I feel like, I don't know. We don't know, because if Jack is an undead monkey, can he be killed?
That's the thing. When it comes to anything undead or immortal, I feel like the consensus is usually that it cannot be killed, but it can be immobilized pretty easily, especially in the case of like a size difference or a difference in intellect. So I don't know. I kind of want to think immediately that it might be Caesar, but when I game it out, could Jack be like reassembled? Could Jack reassemble himself?
Like a dry bones, maybe. He can just like...
right. I heard it in my head the moment you said it.
But then Caesar... Okay, so Caesar, on the other hand... he's beaten some people in combat. He staged a successful coup of the city of San Francisco with his ape army, and if he was able to rally more apes to his cause, I don't think Jack really stands much of a chance. Like, maybe he can come back a few times, but I think Caesar just keeps, one tapping him in the head, and then he gets back up, and then he just gets back up, So I think this one feels pretty easy for Caesar to me.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially like taking the same thing as Koba into account and like having a legion behind him. I think that's a humongous advantage.
Okay, we're gonna go Caesar on this one. Now this is interesting because this is your area of expertise. I've never played Ape Escape. Spectre versus Andros from Star Fox. Tell me about Spectre.
It was actually kind of interesting for me. So Ape Escape as a franchise in general takes a lot of inspiration from Hollywood and cinema. And playing the games as a kid, I never recognized just how significant the Planet of the Apes might have been in that, because Spectre is very much like Koba. He is an intelligent, like highly intelligent, super high IQ monkey that lived in a zoo. And he really resents humans because of the way that he was kept in captivity. So he develops the technology. It depends on the game that you're playing in particular. My favorite was Ape Escape 3, but he develops various forms of technology to control other monkeys through these little devices they wear on their heads, and to manipulate or brainwash humans en masse. And he endeavors for a very similar world domination scenario. Yeah, just a very bitter monkey. He's ultimately not strong. He doesn't have much strength to him, but he's very, very smart and very, very like inventive. So he can, like, if he had his tools at his disposal, he could be a threat. But yeah, no, if it was just pure fisticuffs, there's no question, honestly, no matter who it is. He's very easy to take down.
Very easy to take down, but with... Okay, and then Andros is like... Andros in Star Force 64 is like a giant floating head who just...
I was gonna say I've never played Star Fox, so I don't know all the tea about him, but I see his face in my mind when I read his name.
He's also a mad scientist, and he's got like, you know, he's very technologically advanced, and he, you know, is just... I haven't played Star Fox in a very, very long time, but I don't know. All I remember is that he's a giant disembodied monkey head who just shoots things at you, very much in like a really typical video gamey style. You know, he's like the quintessential video game boss. Genetic experiments is why he's a giant head for some reason. So we have this sort of two technologically advanced apes, but one of them is a giant floating head. So
wait, is he canonically just a floating head? I thought it was like a style thing.
No, I think he is a floating head because he just decided to do that. Which, if I was a monkey and I was also a mad scientist, I think it was only a matter of time before you decide to turn yourself into a floating head. You know?
Wow, I had no idea. I figured it was just because it's just his head that shows up. That is insane.
Yeah. So.
I had no idea.
I got nothing for this one. I have no idea. I mean, I feel like if Spectre is intelligent, all you need to defeat Andross in Star Fox is a spaceship. Could Spectre potentially build or find scraps in the arena to create a spaceship to fight Andross with? Or does he have his gadgets on him? What kind of gadgets does he carry on his person?
Oh, that's hard to say because you'd never really fight him outside of his robot. So I feel like he would bring something in with him, maybe.
Yeah.
He's built massive vehicles that he drives around. He's built vehicles for his henchmen. He's built like a massive, I think in the third game, it's like a whole space station that he lives in.
Right. That's interesting.
So I feel like that may give him an edge. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so tough. This is really like one of those like two similar matchups where it's really difficult to.
They are surprisingly similar, aren't they?
Weakness.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I feel like Spectre probably, you know, if we're thinking about Donkey Kong in terms of his most insane feats of strength, I feel like we should consider that for Spectre as well. And I don't know much about what Andross has done, but I think Spectre would probably, if he can bring that like space station, like if he just lowers that in and is able to just like, I don't know, if it's got cannons on it, I feel like Andross can't really do much of anything, even if he is a giant floating head. Let me look. How big is that giant floating head? How big is Andross?
I cannot believe he's just a floating head. I've never realized.
Okay,
this
no AI overview. Not Andross Island in the Bahamas. That's not what I'm looking for.
Okay. Fourth planet of the system. Is there anything about that?
I don't know.
Surname remains unknown. Oh my goodness.
So much about this guy, but so little of what. Intellectual, science, knowledge, powers, disembodied form, disembodied head. Yes, that certainly is a power. Telepathy and mind control. I don't know if Spectre would be vulnerable to mind control. I feel like he's smart enough to be able to resist that.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. He's the one that controls others' minds. Though he does it through technology, so.
Yeah, I think
it really might just be a...
I want to give this one to Spectre. Like, Andross has more raw power, but I think with the vehicles and the technology that Spectre brings in, I think that he's got this one figured out.
I think so too. I think at the end of the day, it's a really tight one, but
okay.
I do think Spectre has more behind him, more of almost like a cartoonish number of feats.
Yeah, I think so
due
too.
To the different style of the game. So
this is a funny one. Abu from Aladdin versus the monkey from Mario 64 that steals your hat.
What is it called? Ukiki?
Yeah, I think that's his name. I can't remember what he's called, but...
That's another good matchup, though. They're very like similar in demeanor and size.
What is your immediate thought about this? Because to me, this just seems borderline like a stalemate. Like, I've got no idea.
Yeah, it feels like almost a kiddish kind of cat fight where they turn their heads away and swat their arms at each other.
I don't know if any death is happening here. Like, I don't know. The Mario 64 monkey in the game can't do any damage. Like, all it does is steal your hat. Does Abu have a hat?
Yes, he wears a little fez hat. That's what makes him like distinct and recognizable, I think. If I'm
So
remembering him
all we're
correctly.
really gonna see here is is Mario 64 monkey Akiki, whatever his name is, stealing the hat from Abu, and then Abu chases after him and steals it back, and then it just becomes an eternal monkey stalemate, and then all of the apes in the crowd are just there until the end of time.
It really is a stalemate. It would honestly be a coin toss. Maybe Ukiki gets the edge just because he has something over Abu for stealing the hat.
I guess if
Whereas
Abu,
I feel like,
yeah, if Abu steals...
Another thing about them is...
no, you go on, you go on.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, another thing about them here is that I think Ukiki at least acts in plain sight, which is in his advantage in this kind of like Coliseum scenario. Whereas Abu is the type that only has the edge if you don't know he's there. You know, he's the type that sneaks up and pilfers.
Very smart, very good thinking. Yeah, no, I kind of agree on that. It's like, because if you go near it, you know, even with Mario and his, like, you know, Mario, we know from Mario Galaxy has incredible feats of strength, like he can withstand the pull of a black hole only a few meters away. But so if this monkey is able to just grab his hat off of him with brute force and then run away with it, I feel like that monkey's definitely like, whatever Abu has in that fez to help him, the Mario 64 monkey can just grab it and steal it. So I actually think the Ukiki clears here, actually, if we think about it in that context.
Yeah, for sure, especially comparing it to Mario. Mario is one of those almost unreadable, unscalable characters due to the just sheer number of games.
Oh my god. All right, Mario 64 monkey Ukiki, take it.
Yeah.
So this is hilarious. Infernape to two Pokemon. This is completely shuffled, by the way, completely random. Infernape versus Rillaboom.
That's like 3 perfect pairs back to back.
I know, right? We got the tech monkeys, the tiny stealing monkeys, and then Pokemon monkeys. And then we've got 2 shitposts coming up as well.
That's crazy. That is absolutely, and I can see in the numbers too, it is actually shuffled. That is insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So hold on. I need to like look at them again. I don't always remember the type advantages in Pokemon, because when it comes to Pokemon, that's a very easy question, right?
Right. You got type advantages. From what I know, Infernape is a fire type, and Rillaboom is a grass type. So I think fire beats grass every time. So I'm pretty sure Infernape just absolutely wipes the floor with Rillaboom. Like, I don't think Rillaboom
just incinerates him in 2 seconds.
Infernape like blinks at Rillaboom and he bursts into flames and is just a little smoldering pile of ash on the floor.
No, I was thinking about Gordon.
No.
No. I can't do this again.
Poor Gordon.
Hey, what's going on? I'm in this monkey tournament. Hey, what's going on? I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right out here.
No, I can't do this again.
The little green goblin flesh melts from his bones, and he's like,
For God's sake, this is the 17th time this has happened today.
all right, I'm just gonna give that.
But yeah, no, I imagine Rillaboom just walks out and he has because he's got those ginormous drums. He's got the drum kit because he's like a musician themed Pokemon. He just does his grand entrance and then he's immediately just blown to nothing.
He plays one single note on you, boom, and then it's over. It's over. So this we're gonna have to get very theoretical. Spinning Gorilla versus Lamunka.
Lamunka.
Do you know about
Lamunka's the one that?
Lamunka's
the one that's just sitting there looking at you, right?
He's got the weird big lips and goes stinky. Boo, ha, ha, ha. And then Spinning Gorilla is just a regular gorilla that spins, and a little girl goes, there he goes, monkey. So the big thing we're dealing with these two is that Spinning Gorilla does have like the centrifugal force. You know, if he knows how to spin, he can build up a lot of strong power in his fists. But Lamunka, seemingly is sentient. Lamunka can actually speak and understand English because he says stinky poop, haha, funny, poop, funny. So he doesn't think about very much. He doesn't have the greatest, aura about him. It is a very rancid aura, really. But
this reads almost as like the cliche of the unstoppable force and the immovable object. You know what I mean? Because we've got in the red corner, we've got someone in his prime. He's in peak condition. He's spinning. He's just got that much energy to spare. And then this other guy's just sitting there talking about poop. Like that's all he's here to do. He's not gonna move. You can't move him.
I think that might be it. Like Lamunka, the thing is, we've never seen him do anything but sit. He has never done anything but sit and talk. Whereas Spinning Gorilla has at the very least moved in a way that could be perceived as somewhat aggressive. So I think when it comes to moves, Lamunka has no moves and Spinning Gorilla has one move, which is spin. So I think Spinning Gorilla takes this.
Yeah, I think so too. I think all Lamunka has is like the psychological edge, right? Like talking you down, vicious mockery, but to an actual gorilla that cannot speak English, that's nothing. That's meaningless.
So true.
I think Spinning Gorilla would whittle him down to nothing. It would just be a matter of time.
A battle of attrition. Yeah, even if Spinning Gorilla isn't even trying to fight Lamunka, he spins enough, he will eventually, after a certain amount of time, spin into Lamunka by accident, and then over an impossibly long amount of time, he will eventually whittle him down. So, yeah, I think Spinning Gorilla takes this every day.
It's like, funny enough, it's like Beyblade meets the infinite monkey typewriter theorem. If you're familiar with that.
Oh my god, yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly right. Given enough time, the Spinning Gorilla will spin into Lamunka in a confined space. Even in an infinite amount of space, if they're both immortal, Spinning Gorilla will spin across the entire galaxy, and after 50 times 10 to the power 99 years, he will eventually graze Lamunka, you know, if the universe is finite. Now, this is hilarious. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, versus Michael Jackson's pet chimpanzee Bubbles.
Okay, I was gonna ask if it was if it was the King's monkey. Right, that was a chimp actually, I think.
Yeah. So this is like Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby. This is like arguably like a monkey so powerful he is like nigh equal or is a god, practically deified. Able to, in an instant, make leaps and bounds across the earth, to pick up mountains and toss them in a very folkloric way. And Bubbles likes to paint, apparently.
And he wears cute little matching outfits as well. There's that.
He does. He has control over, to a certain extent, he had at one point control over Michael Jackson's quality control. When Michael Jackson would record a take for a new song, he'd say, "What do you think about that, Bubbles?" And if Bubbles like seemed to enjoy it, then they would keep it. But if he didn't, then they would record another one. But otherwise, Sun Wukong, I think like thinks hard enough about Bubbles, and Bubbles' heart explodes. So
it would be a mercy, honestly.
I think like, Sun Wukong just instantly just marches right on ahead. You know, no real competition from completely ordinary Bubbles versus this arguably the most powerful monkey in all of folklore and whatever mythology.
An infinite number of iterations. I feel like Bubbles doesn't even reach the arena. He just pops like a bubble.
All right, now we talked about this earlier. Boots from Dora versus Koba.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's game out their abilities, all right?
Okay, what does Boots have?
He likes his boots. He swings from tree to tree. That's all I know about him.
He's 5.5 years old. He likes to hold Dora's hand, according to the Dora the Explorer wiki. When feeling down, he bounces back quickly with a flip. Let me see. Wait, is there like a power scaling wiki? Power scaling wiki, Boots, Dora the Explorer. I just want to know if there's some episode where he did something ridiculous.
I'm curious. I don't remember off the top of my head. Do you think he's also fluent in Spanish, or is he one of the characters that learns from Dora? Not that this would give him any particular like edge or anything. I just want to know.
The idea of Boots whipping out his knowledge of the Spanish language in order to disorient and confuse Koba. He goes up and he says, "Hola, soy Boots," and Koba just flattens him with a hammer. Do you know
the word venganza?
You can hit him with some good one-liners. So I'm looking. Apparently, Dora the Explorer has superhuman physical characteristics, magic, transformation, can breathe underwater and in space, light manipulation, energy manipulation, genius intelligence, time slow, statistics amplification via breaking the fourth wall, enhanced senses via map. That's true, actually. Bubbles can break the not Bubbles. Boots can break the fourth wall. He can speak to the audience and say, can you say this and this and that? So maybe Boots, if he can break the fourth wall, maybe he, like Bugs Bunny, can rewrite the script of life. And he can say, rewrites Koba has a heart attack and dies, or something like that.
Well, this is not the end I was expecting for Koba.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
listen, because maybe he's aware of some other entity out there, right? Because to the ordinary fictional character, we as the audience do not exist. They're not aware of us. So maybe it's like an eldritch knowledge scenario, right? Maybe that gives him an edge aside from like writing this story. Maybe it gives him some kind of strategy or.
So let's think about Dora the Explorer. Like so let's limit it to their interactions with the audience. So with Dora the Explorer, they can speak to the audience and they can kind of the audience can impact it, and they can say, you know, swiper no swiping, right? So if the audience says it enough times, then it stops them. So if Boots said, hi guys, kids at home, if you want to help me, say Koba, kill yourself, and the audience could say that and force Koba to just take his own life, like in Free Ren, you know? So I feel like I feel like if we take the fourth wall breaking into account, I think Boots clears.
No, he really does. He really does. Can you find a loser? And then we like do a little click. The mouse shows up on screen, the cursor.
That's actually so real. Oh my god.
I think this is the only way to really take down Koba is with something ridiculous like this.
I feel like that's true. And also, his Boots, I imagine, you know, Koba's a bonobo. Boots is like a little monkey. Boots is probably much faster. You know, so he can probably outrun him while he's getting ready to speak to the audience, and then get his whole crazy plan ready. So I'm blown away, but I feel like Boots wins.
I think so too. I really think so too. I think the fourth wall gives him a very important edge that could not be ignored, in my opinion.
So that's it. His weakness is his voice. If there's someone can silence him, then they can beat Boots. But otherwise, Boots can literally clear anybody. All right, Boots wins. Nice. Okay. Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls versus Monkey from Kung Fu Panda, played by Jackie Chan. So I have not actually seen the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know much about Mojo Jojo.
I see. I'm the opposite. I remember more about Mojo, but I do not remember as much about Kung Fu Panda in general because I've only seen each one time. Okay. So tell me a little bit about what powers does Mojo Jojo have? So he's kind of similar to Spectre, and I think he was called Caesar from earlier, in that he's, to my knowledge and memory, he's just a regular chimp, but he's super, super smart. But it also comes with a really important weakness. Part of what made him smart was, I think it was a failed experiment or something like that caused his brain to expand past the boundary of his cranium. So his skull actually opened up, and he wears his brain in a little glass container that protects it, but it's very fragile. And there are multiple occasions in the show where they actually smash that little glass barrier and expose his brain to the elements.
Oh my god.
So he's actually kind of weak in the grand scheme of things, especially against anybody who's skilled in hand-to-hand combat. But then his edge is, you know, if he can bring in any invention. I think he's also an inventor, but I can't remember for sure.
Okay.
I just remember he lives up in a tower and kind of scoffs at Townsville and all the civilians.
So he's got that super intelligence, and he's got, I guess he must have gadgets and machines that he's able to use to, you know, participate in a fight, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Monkey, I doubt very much that he's anywhere near as intelligent as Mojo Jojo. He can speak, you know, he's sentient, he's got a personality, but he's more physically capable. So remember, he wasn't able to defeat him, but he has kept pace with Tai Lung, who, you know, Tai Lung obviously, feat of strength, escaped from Chogun prison by defeating some, we know the numbers for this. It was something like 100 guards, one way out, one way in, was it 100 guards or 1,000 guards? Tai Lung prison. What prison was Tai Lung? Chogun prison, yeah, that's it. How many guards in Chogun Chogon Prison, Kung Fu Panda. Because we got to get the stats right here. 1,000 guards. So he successfully defeated 1,000 rhinoceros guards and escaped from Chogon Prison. And then Monkey was able... Monkey couldn't defeat Tai Lung, but Monkey could kind of like fight him off for a bit, you know. So Monkey definitely has like... He's pretty strong. He's pretty strong.
I think another thing worth mentioning about Mojo is that you can get into his skin, get under his skin rather. He's very predisposed to temper tantrums where he loses his composure. And that's usually what, I think, of the episodes that I can vividly remember, that's usually what causes him to lose. He loses his focus because they get him angry.
Now that's interesting you say that, because one of Monkey's notable techniques is pantsing. He can embarrass his opponents by pulling their pants down. So I feel like Monkey would be very good at messing with Mojo Jojo's ego and getting him to lose focus.
Oh, that's really important. Yeah, no, that is a huge advantage actually.
So yeah, I feel like Monkey kind of wins this. What would you say Mojo Jojo has like technologically or whatever that makes him like what would he use in like a straight up fight? How does he fight back against the Powerpuff Girls? Because they're very strong, aren't they? You know, they're pretty powerful.
Yeah, they have like the superhuman abilities, very like comic book superhero, Superman type scenario. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I remember him operating a mech at some point, but I don't remember. It's been years for me. I'm gonna see if I can find anything about that.
Do a little.
I genuinely, my memory of him is just him sitting in his tower and just being like, Mojo Jojo, I hate everyone. Yeah, okay, yeah, he's operated like a... Here, I can send it to you. He's operated a mech like this before.
Okay, let me have a look.
And I think similar things in other episodes.
Okay, now that's pretty big. That's pretty big. That's I don't know if Monkey would be able to do anything to that. We've never really seen Monkey like strike through metal. I don't know if he'd be able to do that. He'd be able to climb up. He's very agile. He might be able to get through the glass. But it depends on how... I mean, according to this one wiki I'm reading, Mojo Jojo apparently has faster than light reaction speed. And mainly due to, like, sort of, if we take it based on the strength of the Powerpuff Girls, if we compare Mojo Jojo to that, they're saying that he has, like, large planet-level destruction capabilities, but I don't know how true that is. I don't know how accurate that is.
That is an important consideration, because I feel like they always beat him, but there are multiple scenarios where, you know, he almost gets them. And I think they are probably a few paces above Monkey. So if he can hold his own against them, I feel like that might actually be his. I initially was thinking it'd be Monkey, but thinking about that kind of scaling, that kind of changes things.
Yeah, it's very difficult because I think that we don't really have the knowledge. We don't really know sort of the deeper Powerpuff Girls lore. I mean, I've seen... The thing about Kung Fu Panda is that, like, Monkey is definitely more of a side character. He doesn't really do too much, and you don't see that much of him. And I've not seen any of the extra stuff, the animated sort of, like, you know, episodic cartoons. Maybe Monkey has some crazy feats of strength there. But, you know, thinking about that, I almost feel like Mojo Jojo might win. But then the personality thing, you know, being able to taunt Mojo Jojo and get him to lose focus might be kind of important. Monkey might underestimate him. I feel like Mojo Jojo would underestimate Monkey as well. I feel like they would both sort of, their egos would get in the way, in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, it's really like a coin toss to me at this point. I feel like I could make a solid argument for either.
I'm going to say, I'm leaning Mojo. Let's put Mojo ahead. And let's put Mojo Jojo ahead, but Monkey is definitely going to do a lot of good work in the losers bracket, I think.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
Okay, explain this first one to me, because I don't recognize this
so
name.
Shabani is the very handsome gorilla who was in a zoo in Japan, and a lot of Japanese women thought he was very, very handsome and flocked to the zoo because they thought he was very masculine. I'll have to show you a picture of Shabani. Have you heard of this?
No, I recognize him now. I've seen him.
You've seen him. I mean, he really is. He really is a very soulful gorilla, and so that's kind of his big advantage, is the charm factor. You know.
Yeah, I think I'm with him. Like, if he looked me in the eyes, I think I'd fold.
Like, he really... an article in BBC News,
the metrosexual
gorilla. I mean, yeah, you know, like he's got such a beautiful, soulful face. His eyes, they speak so much, and one of the big things for me is like when I look at a gorilla like that, I'm like, I cannot see them as animals. To me, these are just different looking people. Like that's just that's a bloke to me. I feel like I know him. I want to take him to the pub.
I could speak with this guy,
we just got to break through that language barrier. But so there's that, and there's Rafiki from The Lion King, who has dubious powers. I mean, Rafiki definitely, he understands sort of martial arts. He has his stick that he can fight with. He's been in battles before, but he's definitely he's a mandrill. He's definitely a lot smaller than Shabani. Shabani definitely has the strength, and potentially if there were any human women in the crowd, perhaps he could charm them into fighting for him. Maybe he could kind of
his own legion. That's
he could
crazy.
mog a little bit, mew slightly and into the audience and say like, hey, baby girl, why don't you come fight for me? I mean, he can't speak English is the problem. Like Shabani wouldn't be able to think about this. He might organically, accidentally attract a lot of attention, but I don't think he could think about employing a group of minions. Really, he's just a guy.
Thus far, I've been imagining the stadium or the Coliseum having the chairs just filled with other monkeys, just random apes and primates of different kinds. But then for his match specifically, I love the vision of just a bunch of young women right at the front row, just like cheering his name,
screaming like Shabani, I love you, and they're throwing roses into it. Let's be honest. If Shabani was a VTuber, he would climb to the top of the all-time most super chatted YouTube channels immediately. Like the amount of fans that he would have would be astonishing. Maybe the girls have been outside the arena trying to get in, and then when they hear that Shabani is about to fight, they bust down the gates and they charge in.
They get
they
through
have
the
to
security.
see him. They have to save him from Rafiki.
I don't know. Okay, also thinking about Rafiki, he is like he's experienced in combat. You mentioned his size. It's also important to consider their age, their experience, because on one hand, age can give you wisdom. I think being in your prime in a battle is very important, and Rafiki's later on in years, so that might be a disadvantage for him.
Exactly.
I kind of wonder if he might just get punched down to nothing. Though, honestly, I feel like Shabani's main skill seems to just be that gaze that he has, that aura.
Yeah.
It's kind of the, that episode of Gumball where he says things and it sends shockwaves out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he raises his eyebrow and then the whole stadium shakes.
Oh. The thing is, though, now I think that would be really powerful against any other one of these, but Rafiki is a shaman. He's very...
Yeah, he's not going to be phased
He's
by
in
that.
tune with the spirits, and he understands the elements. I feel like Rafiki probably wouldn't be phased by that kind of thing. Rafiki would probably just... he's very wise. He understands, what there is. And he's also, I imagine, not terribly afraid to die. I think he knows that he'll join his he'll join his ancestors in the sky when he does. Yeah. So in a sense, I think Rafiki could really go all out, without feeling any fear. Whereas Shabani, I think it's definitely easy to spook like a wild gorilla. So Shabani might get a little freaked out by Rafiki. So I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of a matter of strength. If Shabani got freaked out, I feel like he would just punch him once and Rafiki would instantly die. But, it's kind of
that's the question.
Debate,
okay.
Really.
I can definitely yield that Rafiki is like wizened and he knows everything he'd need to know, but I feel like he's a very self-defense type. What would the takedown look like if it were Rafiki's victory?
If Rafiki won... That's the thing. I can't even imagine it. Like, how does Rafiki actually beat Shabani?
Like, even with his knowledge of his death and his acceptance of it, I cannot imagine him pursuing an opponent. He's the type that stands and waits for you to come get him.
Exactly. And I think that given that Shabani is, at the end of the day, while somewhat domesticated, he is a zoo animal. He was raised in captivity, I believe. He's still, if agitated, if Rafiki hit him once, he would then be ready to fight back, until the battle was won. So I think in that sense, while Rafiki definitely has a lot going for him, Shabani just has the raw physical strength and, wouldn't stop. So I think Shabani does take this.
Yeah, all he's got to his name is a stick and a brain. I don't think that's enough in a...
All right, in
an honest fight.
In an honest fight, yeah, I think Shabani just kind of takes it. Okay. This
this
is
is
sad.
Nope, right?
Gordy from Nope versus the haircut monkey.
There's no question.
There's no question. Gordy cleared like 4 people by himself on the set. You know, his weakness is bullets. But I feel like Monkey Haircut, all he can do is sit still and get a haircut. He's actually in a very vulnerable position. Does he still have the hairdresser's, like, blanket on him? Is he in the middle of getting a haircut when the fight begins? He's not even going to be ready to start running away from Gordy. You know.
He's also literally a baby. That's a baby.
That's a tiny little monkey. So, you know, I don't even want to think about
got a
that.
body count.
But a haircut monkey, he doesn't stand a chance. Gordy is just gonna like hit him once, and the haircut monkey is instantly dead. Just bang, and it's over.
And Gordy won't stop either. He won't stop there. He'll keep going.
No, if he's agitated, you're right. You're right. If he's pissed about it, he's going in. Gordy just, you know, no need to wait on this one. Gordy just, there he goes.
He's got the inherent buff of, it's like a passive buff of Hollywood rage. It's the experience of like
the stress of, like, being a sitcom star. Yeah,
living in this industry, it's too much on anybody.
Haircut monkey has never experienced hardship once in his life. He would experience one punch from Gordy and would suddenly understand what pain is. It's like the melancholy of the elves. He's cast out of the Grey Havens, and suddenly he realizes the agony of mortality shortly before his death. I think the psychic damage from that is enough to win the fight all on its own. So
I almost wish that he'd just kind of surrender. I feel bad for him.
I think so too. Harambe versus Mankey.
Mankey, the
Mankey,
Pokemon,
the
right?
Pokemon. So I've played a fair bit of Pokemon, but I don't know much. I've never had a Mankey in any of my Pokemon games. What does Mankey do?
So that entire line, I think it's a play on like monkeys in general, but they're very angry and aggressive and territorial. I think they usually travel in groups. I don't know if that's canon or not because I mostly just played the games. But when I think of them appearing in general, I think of them in groups of 4 or 5. They're just very aggressive. They pursue you. Their tantrum is what fuels their strength. So if you get on the nerves of a Mankey, it's going to be your end, basically. Is my understanding.
Interesting. So what moves do they have specifically? Like what can they do? They've got like
wait, hold on, that's a really important question.
Scratches. I mean, Pokemon can move lots of. Let's keep it to moves learned by leveling up, I guess. Moves specific to Mankey. Although, yeah, and then you've got, what is it? Final Gambit, Stomping Tantrum, Screech, Seismic Toss. They've got a lot of stuff going on.
I feel like almost any Pokemon ever against a regular gorilla is a sweep for the Pokemon.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Just for the sheer strength of the average Pokemon's move. Right?
Outrage.
And it has Seismic Toss, which I think relates to the size and weight of the opponent, right?
Oh. The damage of Seismic Toss is equal to the user's level. Level 100, it will inflict 100 HP damage. Right. So yeah, I think now people in chat are pointing out a very important distinction. Harambe is dead already.
Wait, is he like appearing? Okay, wait, is this one of those dream, what is it called? Fantasy Olympic scenarios?
I put him in here with the assumption that he would be in his prime, you know, not already dead, but
not appearing as a ghost.
Not appearing as a ghost. You know, if he appeared as like a Force ghost like Star Wars, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, then maybe he would stand a chance. But Harambe, I don't know. Chat, I understand what you're saying. Harambe, most people didn't know who Harambe was until after he was dead, but in this instance, Harambe is appearing alive and well. This is some kind of monkey afterlife where everybody is able to gather in their prime, right? But
that is a tremendously important thing to distinguish here, because I think Mankey's a fighting type, and I think the typing there is that, I don't remember which direction it goes in, it might be both, but with Ghost and fighting, at least in one direction, you can't do any damage at all. Like, no hits will land.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Yeah. So it's good that he's in his prime.
Right, so fighting types can't hit ghost types. So actually, if we considered Harambe dead, he would beat Mankey. But if Harambe is alive, Mankey wins. So what that means is that Harambe clears, because if Mankey kills Harambe, he comes back as a ghost, and then Mankey cannot beat Harambe.
Because his win is imminent, it's just a matter of time, right?
Because I think
no matter what form he assumes in the beginning,
like with Lamunka and like with Spinning Gorilla, we must consider the theoretical aspect of like a gorilla famous through shitpost. Harambe's power is in his posthumous impact. Harambe had real power after his death. Harambe would be able to motivate millions to do his bidding after his death. So if anything, Ghost Harambe that is then invulnerable to all of Mankey's attacks, and then everybody on Earth comes to try and flatten Mankey into the dirt because, I mean, you know, he immediately is able to motivate everybody to, you know, dicks out for Harambe. And I feel like
I forgot about that.
With this weird loop logic, I think Harambe clears.
Yeah, I don't think it's any question. It's another battle of attrition.
Holy shit!
No matter what form he assumes at the beginning.
My goat Harambe, your greatest weapon was your own death. Holy shit! Well done, Harambe.
He's got the legacy buff.
Oh my god. Okay. Curious George versus King Julian.
All right, we gotta consider their strengths.
Okay.
So,
Curious
in the red corner,
George power scaling.
He's got a friend who loves to wear yellow, and he loves to investigate things and learn.
He has
the end.
Apparently superhuman speed. He has casually scaled buildings in seconds.
What?
He has easily outmaneuvered the man in the yellow hat who tied hundreds of balloons around himself with one hand in a fraction of a second and dodged several crocodile bites. So the man with the yellow hat apparently has superhuman speed, and Curious George has outran him. So Curious George is very, very fast.
Oh, that's important.
Okay, what about King Julian? I feel like King Julian's done something stupid.
He likes to move it, and he's physically fit.
When Bloodlusted was able to one-shot the Rat King.
Oh.
So King Julian has a bloodlust factor. He's a lemur. I don't fucking care, guys. He's on the list, okay? He's on the list.
Lemurs are primates.
Lemurs are primates, yeah.
Yeah. They're like honorary monkeys, in my opinion.
Yeah, they look like monkeys to me. Come on, guys. Give it a rest.
Yeah, they're like monkeys, but slightly to the left.
Exactly. You know. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got his own ult, his own primal rage.
He's got a bloodlust factor. Attack potency at least small building level. Stomp the Rat King with a hockey puck, who can casually bust through walls and stomp the penguin. But everything feels like it's based on that one feat. Like he one-shot the Rat King, but...
How strong is the Rat King?
I don't know. I don't know who the Rat King is. I've never heard of this guy.
Let's see, Madagascar wiki. Okay, the Rat King. What kind of? Oh, he's looking pretty buff. I gotta say. I don't know if you've seen this man yet.
Hang on. Madagascar Rat King. Let me look this up.
He's a mutant. So he's got like a not superhuman, but I guess like a super rat.
Oh my god, he's fucking huge. Jesus, he's ripped. Yeah,
he's ripped, shredded.
Okay, so all right, I feel like this has to go to King Julian. If he one-shot the Rat King, like look at the size of this guy. Curious George might be fast. Curious George might be running around buildings, but at the end of the day, Curious George. I played the Curious George game on PS2. Curious George has no offensive moves whatsoever in that game. All he can do is jump around and solve puzzles. And I think that, you know, he's going to have to solve the puzzle of his own murder after this one. I just think that I think King Julian stomps. If he's able to just clear the Rat King in one hit, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like plus eventually Curious George, he's ultimately just a baby. He's going to need to lay down for his nap. So there's no question.
Exactly. He lays down for his nap, and then King Julian flattens him with a hockey puck, and it's over. Sorry, Curious George, you're dead. All right, so now I'm gonna need some knowledge from you because I've never played Monkey Ball. II versus Gorilla Grodd.
Okay, but I'll need some from you next because I only vaguely know that Gorilla Grodd is he's like an intelligent.
He's a
monkey as well, but
DC
strong,
character, and I don't know him very well either, but I've seen the one clip where he tries to kill Barack Obama.
Oh.
Have you not seen this? Okay, I've got to send you this clip. Hold up.
Mm.
Hang on a minute. Gorilla Grodd, Barack Obama. This is a moment. It's fully animated like a live action thing. It's from like a CW TV show. And so seemingly, a canon feat is that. So the big thing about Gorilla Grodd, from what I understand, is that he's a time traveler, and he goes up against the Flash. And apparently he has mind control, according to. So he's a mind controlling gorilla.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
You gotta listen to what he says. Just can't believe that that's real.
What? Is this real? Is this not like a dub?
No, this is real. This is 100% real. This is 100% a real thing.
What? Oh wow. Okay, I guess there's no question here. To explain II a little bit. He is a happy little monkey. He loves bananas, and he navigates through parkour landscapes inside a ball, kind of like a hamster ball.
All right.
You know, like those like translucent.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Though it could be, I wonder if it could be argued that the ball is like a defensive barrier. I'm not too sure because I haven't played as much Super Monkey Ball. I've only played a little bit. I've only played one game in the franchise, but in my memory, I don't remember anything that damages the ball. I just remember that if you fall off of the obstacle course,
that's
you die,
it.
and that's it.
Can the ball be broken? Any monkey ball heads in chat? Any ballers able to let us know if the ball can be broken? If his weakness in that case, if the only way to defeat II is a is like a fall. It depends, because Gorilla Grodd can like I don't know. He's got mind control. Maybe if he can time travel, can he teleport? Can he teleport potentially?
Oh, maybe appear inside of the ball. Take him out in
maybe.
his own territory.
Can he teleport the ball very high up and drop it? Is there a pit in the Coliseum? I don't think so. Like, if there's no...
Yeah, I'm imagining a very level playing field, just pure fisticuffs, no advantages, no obstacles.
Is I mean, in that case, well, maybe we need to draw a line here, because in that case, if there's no void for II to fall off of, and the ball cannot be broken, then II is indestructible. And I think that this sort of creates a lot of issues.
For sure. Gorilla
Grodd power scale. I feel like he's just, there's got to be, because the thing about comics is there's always something fucking stupid in some random comic where it's like Batman blinked at a monkey and its heart stopped, and it's like, oh, so we now have to consider that Batman has telekinesis for some reason, and this was in some random comic written by some random guy one afternoon, and he forgot that Batman can't do that. So, but now it's considered a real thing. Gorilla Grodd power scale. It's got, like, I feel like it's going to turn out to be very high.
Yeah. I feel like there's definitely something, even if the ball is indestructible.
Superhuman physical characteristics, natural weaponry, genius intelligence, preparation, mind manipulation, illusion creation, mana manipulation, possession, telepathy. Possession. So possession, mind control. He could potentially possess II, because II is just a regular monkey. It does not, like, sentient or anything. Can II speak English? Does II communicate in that way?
I don't actually remember, but I'm looking at, he has a versus battles wiki page I've just noticed, and apparently he has a wife as well. I didn't know that.
Wow. Interesting.
He loves bananas almost more than his wife.
That's crazy. Actually, that's insane. He must really love his wife.
Yeah, maybe he's fighting for her too.
So I think if Grodd could mind control II, maybe he could just mind control him and make him leave the Coliseum, and then Gorilla Grodd wins by default. Or mind control II out of the Coliseum and off a cliff. if there is a cliff nearby. I mean, it would take a while, but eventually, because I don't think has any offensive capability, so I don't think he could ever do anything to Gorilla Grodd. But if Gorilla Grodd can mind control him and just make him leave, then I feel like Gorilla Grodd just has to win by default.
Oh, poor yeah, no. It says here his intelligence is ranked as just average, so he's definitely going to be vulnerable. He's got no defense against something like mind control.
That's sad. All right, well, Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, poor
Gorilla Grodd takes this one. Okay.
He did his best.
The final for round 1, King Kong versus Coco the gorilla.
Now, this is the gorilla who supposedly was taught sign language, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There was some debate over how real that was, but what we do know is that she was a very gentle gorilla who was very intelligent and was good friends with a lot of celebrities like Robin Williams before she sadly passed away. And King Kong is, of course, very big. You know, the quintessential big ape, star of many recent films. Kong, you know, Godzilla X Kong. He has not able to beat Godzilla, but has stood toe to toe with Godzilla in a battle. And so in that sense, could Coco beat Godzilla? No.
No. I think in the scenario where the sign language story was true, her only real advantage here is that she can cut you down with her words. I think words can be sharper than swords, but against the average monkey, they're not going to understand a word of it anyway. I feel like there aren't many people in this tier list here, this bracket that she could touch. Sad to say.
Unfortunately,
as much as I love her.
Yeah, I love Coco, but I don't think there's much they can do. I just got curious. Like, Kong appears at different sizes based on the incarnation that he appears in. So if we're considering the original 1933 film, Kong is envisioned to be 40 to 50 feet tall only, so, you know, 5.5 meters tall. That's pretty damn tall, but not anything close to in Godzilla vs. Kong, where he stands at 102 meters tall. You know, they really boosted him. They really gave him, I don't know how he got so big. Maybe it's all that radiation. But
though I will say, I see someone mentioning that he has a displayed weakness to maidens. So maybe if she just
this is true.
Maybe she could charm him. I don't know. Maybe she could bat her eyelashes.
Coco tries to seduce King Kong, and then in that time, obviously because Coco has an established alliance with the zookeepers and the people who run the research facility where Coco lives, so potentially Coco could charm King Kong for long enough for the research facility to call the army and then destroy King Kong that way, leaving Coco alive. But I think if we consider this as a fight to the death, I don't think that Coco... Well, would Coco be able to seduce King Kong before he's able to just walk up and, you know, put his finger on her head and instantly kill her?
Just blow in her general direction. I don't know. Also, I think that weakness is specifically to human women, right?
Yes, I think so. You know, we don't know if he's ever had this kind of a feeling for a female gorilla, so I feel like, yeah, I don't know if you know, the whole seduction element would really work if it wasn't, you know, a human woman.
Yeah, no, Coco's getting sent back to spawn. Hate to say it.
Sad to say. All right, King Kong advances, and we move on.
She'd live an honorable 3 seconds.
And she would slay. She'd come out in all her Sunday best. She would look fantastic, but at the end of the day, it would be over. Okay, we're moving on.
I think she'd be a fan favorite at best.
Round 3.
Okay.
King Louie versus Donkey Kong. Now, if Donkey Kong can beat the Guardian Ape, and if Donkey Kong has all of these feats of strength, I mean, King Louie is very, very, very big. But I think for Donkey Kong, this just becomes like a boss battle in a sense. And Donkey Kong has won many boss battles. You know, it would be one fight against another big ape, but I think DK kind of sweeps here.
Yeah, for sure. I can even imagine it in distinct phases in that scenario. I also think in any case like this, even if he's a fictional gorilla or Gigantopithecus or orangutan, King Louie is still ultimately, he has the body of a real creature, right? Not a cartoonish.
He does. He
gorilla.
does.
He doesn't have any superhuman strength or anything like that. Whereas Donkey Kong, as we mentioned, he destroys the moon. He smashes through rock like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's no contest. It's DK all
Donkey
the way.
Kong, it's got to be DK. It's got to be DK. So
DK, comma Donkey Kong.
the leader of the bunch, we know him well, and we know he beats King Louis every day. Caesar or Spectre? Now, this is interesting. These are both very intelligent apes. Caesar is a leader. He is a politician who commands, you know, other apes, and Spectre is a master of technology and gadgetry and all other kinds of itcheries. So
and likewise controls an army of mind-controlled apes. So they're kind of. I almost imagine it more as like a almost a traditional battlefield scenario.
Yeah, I think
one-on-one battle.
It would be like a total war game, and so they both have opposite leadership styles. Is the thing, and the thing is that we compared. You know, you compared Spectre to Koba, who is Caesar's enemy. Caesar leads by pure charisma. The apes that he commands genuinely believe in him and feel passionate about his cause. You know, they trust absolutely in him as their leader, and he cares genuinely for the future of his tribe and his species. Whereas Spectre is mind controlling. So Spectre doesn't. I guess what this depends on is Spectre definitely has more stuff that he can do. He's got more mechs and more gadgets and stuff, but Caesar, does Spectre have some device that mind controls the apes, that if it is destroyed, the apes break free of his control?
Yes, actually, they're controlled with the little helmets that they wear. And I believe that if they were not wearing those, they would not be under his command anymore. But I'm not too sure about that. I may be misremembering.
Now, this is a very interesting fight. So, is it also true in that sense? Would those mind-controlled apes be able to try and put those helmets onto other apes?
I wonder. I don't think I've seen anything like that. The closest thing to it that I've seen is that in Ape Escape 3, they control humans specifically by showing them things on TV.
Now that's interesting.
But even then, it's never to command them. It's just to turn them into what they call like couch potatoes, like people that can't leave their living room.
So, what we're essentially dealing with here is almost like a COD Zombies match, or rock, paper, scissors, really, where basically it's a matter of numbers. It's a matter of what Caesar's apes can do is remove the helmets from the other apes and free them from his control. And because Caesar is so charismatic, he would then be able to say, you are mind controlled, join me and we'll destroy your oppressor, and then they would join him. But if the other apes are able to put the mind control helmets back on to Caesar's apes, then they can then join the opposite side. So really, it's just a complete yin-yang. It's just these two opposite waves clashing against each other, the apes removing and re-adding the helmets to change sides on a whim.
Just in an endless flux, an ongoing negative feedback loop that goes nowhere.
I guess. Yeah.
I still almost, if only for the charisma, right? Fighting for a cause. I almost want to say Caesar, even though Spectre on his own, just with his gadgets, I feel like in my mind that clears anything. He could just topple these guys with a machine army and all. But my heart is begging for Caesar. I don't know.
He's very. That's it. You know, he's a real protagonist. It's the fact that in Planet of the Apes, the original 1960s series, the humans were always the main characters, but in the prequel series, Rise of the Planet Dawn and on War, Caesar is the main character. You know, he's got a real personality, and you know, you really care about him and his struggles and all of that. So I guess the thing is, if there does Spectre have like a remote control that he can use to control the helmets, and if that was destroyed, maybe then all of the helmets would stop working all at once?
Maybe not a remote control. I think he tends to operate from like an HQ of sorts. So maybe like if his command center or whatever he has. I gotta say, it's been years since I've touched this game.
Okay.
I think I was a child. But from my vaguest memories of the game, yeah, I figure if his equipment was taken down, it could be like a freeing all of the controlled scenario.
It really is like hero versus villain scenario, but I do think that based on what you said, I do feel like Spectre does just have more power. I feel like he just has more gadgets. You know, if we're thinking, who was it from before? Mojo, Andros. He's got a space station. If he brings the space station in, how are those, you know, how are those other apes, how are Caesar's apes going to be able to climb up and get into the space station? You know, do the mind-controlled apes, they have like lasers and stuff? Are they able to like just shoot them dead with phase guns like Star Trek?
I don't think they could stand a chance against that. And I forgot, I see someone mentioning there is actually a human character in the first game that gets mind controlled as well. So I feel like it's just too much. It's too much tech for these actual apes.
Yeah, they are.
As much as I love an underdog.
They're intelligent. They can actually communicate and strategize, but in the face of raw, overwhelming technological power, I think Spectre probably takes it, which is a shame. But you know, evil triumphs over good in this instance. But he'll be vanquished later, I'm sure.
In the words of Gordon, we live in a world that lets evil win.
Mario 64 Monkey Ukiki versus Infernape.
There's no question, is there?
There is no question. Infernape is going to snap his fingers once, and Ukiki is going to explode in a cloud of fire and gore, and it's going to be horribly violent.
Oh no! Let's gore up my comfort character. That's so sad. Yeah, no, there's no contest.
There is no
absolutely no contest
to this at all. Infernape just insta win every time. Spinning Gorilla versus Sun Wukong.
Okay, hold on. How strong are we considering this Beyblade feature? Because when we see him, he's spinning the whole time. Does he stop a single time in the video? Or am I
he does stop. He walks towards the glass, and then he spins, and then he slows down and stops, and very tenderly places his hand on the glass for some reason. So, I mean, yeah, Sun Wukong has had... I mean, he would have an easy time with most of these guys, but Sun Wukong has had the easiest run of life. I mean, he was up against a normal chimpanzee followed by a normal gorilla that spins. So, yeah, I mean, there's no question. Sun Wukong is like an actual deity monkey.
Literally a mythic legend.
Genuinely. And then Spinning Gorilla is just a Spinning Gorilla. So I'm sorry, Spinning Gorilla, but you'll get an absolutely flat, and Sun Wukong is just going to summon a mountain and drop it on you.
Yeah, as much as I love the infinite Beyblade theory for him, there's no contest.
There's no time. There's the infinite Beyblade. I mean, remember, he is mortal. So the infinite Beyblade would work for a little while, but then if Sun Wukong was just like, right, well, I'm going to have to kill this guy, then he just kills him. And that's that.
The second he tenderly looks up at the audience and stops spinning, that's his end.
He just has to wait for him to get tired, and Sun Wukong just sits back and relaxes. He just eats. He just eats bananas. La 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 la. Okay, all right. He's tired now. Thinks about it a little hard. Spinning Gorilla dies of, you know, a disease.
Tortoise and hare.
Boots versus Mojo Jojo.
Okay, hold on. We had a really strong and compelling argument for Boots that I don't want to
So
discount.
we now remember the fourth wall break. The fourth wall break exists, and Boots can, you know, completely... Because if Swiper No Swiping can... If the audience is there and Swiper No Swiping can stop Swiper from stealing something that he could very easily just walk off with, then Boots' audience-powered mind control has no limits.
Oh god, there really might be no way for Mojo.
And after my monkey tier list, and I put Boots in D tier because I thought he was kind of an asshole, I learned firsthand just how popular Boots is in Latin America. So if...
No, he's huge.
If Boots was to use his fourth wall breaking technology or power to communicate with, let's say, to a TV set somewhere in, I don't know, Brazil?
Brazil mentioned.
Brazil, Mexico... It's over. Everyone in the nearby town is going to come to that TV and boost Boots' power and chant, you know, Mojo Jojo, die of a heart attack.
Boots with the spirit bomb is crazy. No, yeah, I don't think, with that in mind, there's really no way for Mojo to turn it around, even with his intellect, even with his technology.
I can't believe, yeah.
He does not have the fourth wall.
Mojo Jojo has the ego. He's going to be listening to what Boots has to say, and he might do like a line to begin with, and then Boots will just turn around, do that. Boots can just sort of run off, communicate with the audience. The thing about it is that it's strong, but it would probably take a little bit of time to like teach the audience what they have to say. And then Swiper in the show, he hears it for a little while and goes, "Oh, nuts!" And then he can't. "Aw, man!" That's what he says. Yeah. So I think it's Mojo Jova. Might possibly.
Yeah, even to Boots' advantage, Mojo is a monologuer. The whole time Boots could like be rallying his people. Mojo's just there saying his name and his backstory.
And there you go. All right, I'm gonna put. I'm gonna say Boots wins. I like this arc for Boots.
Me too. I want to see him take the whole thing.
All right, Shabani versus Gordy. Finally, two ordinary animals. I mean,
yeah, right.
Sadly, this is a shoe-in for Shabani because Shabani can just punch. Gorillas are just stronger than chimpanzees, and Gordy is a chimpanzee, also restricted by his clothing.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
He's got the shirt on, which would definitely make it a little bit more, slightly more difficult to move around. And Shabani is Shabani. He is a gorilla, and if threatened, he would just beat him up. So not really much debate to be had there. Finally, no real powers to consider. These are just two regular old animals.
He seems mellow, but I do think that if pushed enough, he would snap like any gorilla would.
Everybody's capable and deserving of self-defense, Shabani included.
It would be a brief moment.
And even if Gordy won somehow, the Shabani fangirls would be grieving so hard that they would probably kill Gordy themselves.
Yeah, so he'd lose either way by the end of it. No, it's a Shabani sweep here.
All right, Shabani wins. All right, last two.
Okay.
Harambe versus King Julian. So we had a lot of... We wondered pretty hard about Harambe. Harambe has a lot of interesting logic with his ghost powers, and King Julian apparently was able to vanquish the Rat King in a one-shot with a hockey puck, but could he vanquish a fully grown gorilla? Oh, I think he died. I think he died. I think the apes overtook him. Oh no, he's back. Sorry. I thought some of Shabani's mind control might have affected you for a second. Maybe he was DMing you or something.
Sorry about that.
It's totally fine. Okay. It's totally fine. There's more than enough time.
What did I miss? What did you say? Literally the moment we got to Harambe and King Julian, I just got distracted.
Yeah. We're just thinking about it. But Harambe, obviously interesting logic with him. King Julian beat Curious George, but could he beat Harambe? I mean, Harambe was a real gorilla, but he is a gorilla, and King Julian is a lemur. Now, King Julian was able to defeat, he was able to defeat the Rat King, who was a big buff rat, but that is a rat, and rats are much smaller than.
That is the question. Is a supercharged rat stronger than a regular gorilla?
I kind of don't think so. I think Harambe just in pure strength alone probably takes it.
Yeah.
The same King Julian has an army. I think I'm for
Harambe as well here.
The same King Julian has an army, but does his army have any kind of military power? King Julian is a king, but I don't know if he can even make his guys do anything. I don't know if his own subjects even respect him at all.
And he has his first steward, Mort, who's honestly a freak of his own.
What does Mort do? What does Mort do?
I know that he can absorb the souls of other things, and I think he's absorbed the souls of 37 deceased wives or something like that.
He can what?
Oh, wait, I need you to... Okay, hold on.
I didn't know this. Look at Mort power scaling. Hang on a minute. Mort power scaling. Madagascar. Hang on a minute.
I need you to see his family. Hold on. I'm gonna send you a screen cap from... This is not the power scaling wiki. This is just the regular Madagascar wiki, but... Okay, I need you to read this.
Okay. Family, Grandpa Mort, grandfather absorbed, grandmother absorbed, 10 unnamed deceased ex-wives, Aunt Trudy, unknown children, implied, never mentioned, Mort's grandchildren.
I think he's immortal too. I think that might be what Mort stands for.
10 deceased ex-wives. Mort power scaling. What the I have to know.
He should have been on this list.
I have to know. What the fuck? Hang on.
I think this stuff started getting introduced in the Penguins of Madagascar, like the series, rather than the movies. But I don't know for
All right,
sure.
Mort the Theorizer. Let me have a look at this on the villains wiki. He's portrayed as an ageless, potentially immortal being able to survive extreme situations that would kill others. This is true. I remember this from Madagascar, that he gets hit with like bombs and gets set on fire, and then it's just kind of fine. He's hurt, but he comes back. Soul absorption, create multiple personalities or enhance his power, more interdimensional travel, reality manipulation, supernatural intelligence, regeneration, shape-shifting, survival instinct, stealth and deception, and supernatural strength and durability. Now, this is all interesting, but it depends who. So he's absorbed the souls of his ex-wives. Could his? Oh my God, he could absorb Harambe.
He could. So is he fighting here with King Julian?
I think that makes sense. King Julian has Mort at his side. So if we took the Mankey thing, there's no way Harambe beats Mankey, but then there's no way Mankey beats Harambe after Harambe is a ghost. If Harambe is a ghost, King Julian and then Mort, you know, defending and fighting for King Julian, could absorb Ghost Harambe and then gain his power. So for the rest of the bracket, we have to consider that Mort and King Julian have now absorbed the soul of Harambe.
That is such a good streamlined continuity. That is so wonderful. That is such a... I love this.
Holy shit.
I didn't even consider the continuity of the fact that Harambe is a ghost at the start of this battle because of his previous match.
Holy shit, I can't believe it, but King Julian beats Harambe. If that's the case, if all it takes is if Harambe is a ghost, Mort just
rock, paper, scissors.
Absorbs his soul, and then it's over. Like, Mort has now permanently powered up with Harambe. Oh my God.
Oh my God, the power scaling wiki has so much more. Aliases include Lovecraftian Demon, the Grim Reaper, Fractured Demon, Fragmented Multiversal God, and Kronos.
All right, I'm just going to say King Julian wins, and then we're going to fucking move on. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Now this one's going to be... I feel like this one's going to be tough. Gorilla Grodd versus King Kong. Sorry, on the top pages on the Villains Fanon, I saw a guy called Tim Cheese, and I almost said Gorilla Grodd versus Tim Cheese. That's just a mouse in a fucking...
Tim Cheese?
I have no idea. A mouse in a suit, and it looks like an AI-generated image. I'm really confused by that's the #1 most popular thing. But King Kong is huge. Okay. This is a tough one. We need to understand how strong Gorilla Grodd actually is. He has mind control. He can fight the Flash. He's never beaten the Flash, from what I know. The Flash is ridiculously powerful. All right. He really, all he's got, superhuman strength, you know, obviously because he's a gorilla. Durability, you know, greater resistance. He's like a beefed up gorilla. But otherwise, it really is just telepathy and mind control. Like, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I'm a big fan of Kong, and I'd love to see him do more, but at the end of the day, he's just a big gorilla. He doesn't have anything supernatural going for him, aside from his size and strength. If
Gorilla Grodd could mind control King Kong, he could just, make King Kong fall over. But would Gorilla Grodd have the time? Because King Kong is so big, he could just, like, step on Gorilla Grodd immediately.
Well, he's also capable of time control, right?
I
don't know how far that extends. I've never seen Gorilla Grodd
I guess
in action
if he went back to go and
say.
fight a young Barack Obama, he must be capable of time travel.
Of course, it's going to be limited in the arena, but I figure if he can go back to I don't know, but like even just stop things so that he can reassess, or I don't know how that works.
I
for
guess
him.
so. I mean, if he could stop time, he could beat pretty much anybody.
That's true. That would be a little OP.
Gorilla Grodd post-crisis that they're calling the classification telepathic gorilla. Right. Now this is an important one. His main adversary is the Flash, and apparently he has consistently been able to tag, quote, the Flash. So he's been able to touch and interact with the Flash. And the Flash is like the fastest thing in any work of fiction possible. Like the Flash
Literally
can run
his
so
name.
fast he can travel back in time. So if Gorilla Grodd is that fast, he would just be able to, like, you know, just run up King Kong and just punch him in the eyeballs. And
yeah, I don't think Kong's got anything on him. If he's got psionic abilities, he's got the strength to do enough damage, and he's also that fast. There's really no question for him.
King Kong also went toe to toe with Godzilla, though. Could Gorilla Grodd
That's
beat Godzilla?
true.
Let me take a look. Let me scale this against Godzilla. So he didn't beat Godzilla. But hang on, Godzilla power scaling. Now this is going to be ridiculous. You know this is going to be absolutely insane. They're going to say like Godzilla has had an audience with the creator and is capable of you know, okay. So large size, obviously. So
Godzilla's so cool.
Godzilla is fantastic. I really like the films. They're
I'm looking at all
definitely
these different forms he takes.
Yeah, it's a big, like, guilty pleasure for me is watching the new MonsterVerse films. Like, after the first one, they were very much, like, not sort of artistically sound in really any way, shape, or form, but they're always fun to just watch big monsters breathe fire on each other and go, like...
Yeah. It's almost like a form of, like, de-stressing for me to watch fictional cities be devastated.
Yeah, it's like, huh, at least I'm not that guy.
Yeah, right? He's got it worse than me.
It could be bad, but yeah. The Godzilla power scaling is almost like too complicated to even take into account on this one. Like,
I can't even wrap my head around it.
there's just so much going on. I mean, I feel like we understand. It's like he could regenerate and he's really, really big and he can breathe a big laser. And King Kong couldn't just defeat him, but he did go toe-to-toe with him and almost beat him. And then the pair of them were able to beat Mechagodzilla together. So I feel like... I don't know. This is a very difficult one.
I still feel like it's going to be Grodd. I think he's got too much... Like, I think the psionic is the biggest buff. The psionic powers.
Yeah, I think so. If he's that fast...
Especially thinking of the way it works for, like, the match with II in the previous bracket. I think if it's as simple as getting into someone's head who is vulnerable to that and convincing them not to fight or commanding them not to fight, I don't see any scenario where he loses.
Apparently, Grodd has previously caught the Flash as he tried to escape, quote, Gorilla City. So, yeah, DC, I don't know what the fuck is going on in
Gorilla City.
Apparently there's a Gorilla City in DC. I might have to stan, actually. I don't understand what's going on in DC.
I might be getting into DC. Hold on.
I don't know. When are they going to release the Gorilla Grodd movie? I don't know. But yeah, I feel like if Gorilla Grodd is fast enough to catch the Flash and he could mind control King Kong immediately and just make his head explode or make him fall over. And that would be that. So I feel like Gorilla Grodd does just take it in the end.
Yeah. I think every advantage, physical and mental.
Oh, God. All right. So now we're on to round 4, the double elimination. So
Okay.
we're getting there. Oh,
We're
boy.
well on our way.
Donkey Kong versus Spectre. Zally Raid, thank you so much for the raid. Zally, come on, Investigates. We're talking ape right now. Hopefully you guys are interested in that. I know we are.
I'm about to go ape.
I'm always going ape.
I feel like this is kind of like it's kind of satisfying after the previous matches for Spectre, because I think Spectre's been paired against the intellectual types so far, right? This is the more interesting cliche of like brute strength versus intellect.
I think so. Donkey Kong is not a very intelligent ape, you know?
No.
He is just
He loves
pure
bananas.
fists first, eat banana, no worries about any of that. But Donkey Kong, if we consider his physical strength, consider, you know, the whole moon punching feat, if we consider the amount of boss battles that he has won in his life, he's beaten King K. Rool, he's beaten all kinds of people, all kinds of supernatural enemies. I feel like Spectre, with the limitations of technology, and then Donkey Kong has his own, you know, if Donkey Kong has his own strength that's just innate to him, I feel like he has so few weaknesses. I think Donkey Kong definitely takes this.
Yeah. I'd be a liar if I said I had no biases towards DK, but I genuinely like you said earlier, I think this would just be another Tuesday, like just another cinematic boss battle for him.
Exactly. He's always lived to see new games, and no matter what he goes up against, he's always come back for more. I think Donkey Kong, like, yes, biased because I'm excited about that new game coming out, but I just think this is correct regardless. Like, Donkey Kong, come on, you got this, buddy.
Any scenario, I think he would plow through his little monkey, his Peepo army, just like a Dynasty Warriors game, and then I think he'd smash the mech or whatever he's fighting with the pieces. It'd be nothing.
Oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. I want to see these fights.
It would be
now.
so. I'd love to see
these
like
fights. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Infernape versus Sun Wukong.
This is interesting because Infernape is themed around Sun Wukong.
Yeah, definitely.
That's his inspiration.
They look very similar, but Infernape is a Pokemon and Sun Wukong is a super god being. I feel like, again, Sun Wukong very, very much not a fair matchup in many, many ways. I'm just curious because I've never read Journey to the West. But I just want to know.
Me neither. I only remember vague things that I've picked up over the years.
Oh yeah, I mean Sun Wukong in all of like the power scale, they have like their number system, and they've literally deemed Sun Wukong as being like 1C, which is one of the highest powers that you could possibly ever be. Attack potency multi solar system level. He is so fast, he has reached the end of heaven itself, making him 97 quadrillion times the speed of light. Lifting strength, he can grab and move the moon with his bare hands, similar to Donkey Kong. Multi-solar system level, durability, low complex multiverse level. And it just says standard melee range, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I feel like Sun Wukong, there's no real question. We're going to be in for a very interesting fight with Donkey Kong versus Sun Wukong.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I think they're both the type that are destined for the end of the tourney.
Holy shit. Boots versus Shabani.
Boots versus Shabani. Oh. This is an interesting one as well. We talked about like similar matchups before. These are both the type that are as strong as their fan base, right?
Exactly.
They're as strong as their supports.
So, guys, I don't know. For me, right, this is an interesting one because Boots has been up against, who was it before? Boots was up against Mojo Jojo, and he was up against so Koba, Mojo Jojo, and now Shabani. The thing about Koba and Mojo Jojo, both of them could speak English. Shabani cannot speak English. Shabani is just a wild animal. So what is Shabani going to do if Boots does the swiper-no swiping fourth wall break and tries to say, Shabani, let me win, Shabani, die of a heart attack, but Shabani doesn't know what those words mean?
That's true. All he would do is sit and look at you. Though I guess something we haven't really considered yet is Boots' nature, right? Because he's certainly capable of everything we've given him credit for previously. But would he actually have it in him to do all this? Would he have it in his heart?
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fight to the death.
That's true.
They know that the only way out is to destroy their opponent. And Boots would struggle. He's definitely, a children's character. He wouldn't really want to fight back too passionately, but Shabani is a wild animal. Shabani is just going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, he's going to defend himself, no question.
Exactly. If Boots asked, hey, help me defeat Koba. Koba's an evil villain monkey. They'd say, yeah. Mojo Jojo, evil villain monkey. Yeah. Does the audience want to beat Shabani?
It's flawed ethos. There's it's a harder argument to
He
make.
would try to convince them, help me kill this silverback gorilla. And I feel like most of the audience would be like, Boots, I don't know if I can back you up on this, buddy. Like, this is kind of fucked up, Boots. Like, what's wrong with you? He's like, well, this is my only option.
He's got no legs to stand on.
With enough, there would be so much debate and turmoil that I feel like he couldn't rally the audience. I know you guys are saying you'd always back up Boots, but would you do it if it meant that a real gorilla would die? I feel like I couldn't do it. I couldn't back him up. I feel like Exact. Boots, you've changed. Boots, like, this would be his descent into madness arc. He flies too close to the sun, abusing his connection to the audience, and then he tries to use it to kill an innocent gorilla, and it's too much.
It's really the cancellation arc for Boots in this scenario, in this matchup.
Exactly. Boots can never win because even if he wins, he gets cancelled after he leaves.
That's crazy. That's crazy. God, I do still feel that, like, even with the cognitive dissonance that's present here, I still feel like Boots has the type of dedicated, there's no question, no matter what he asks, they'll do it. The dedicated following. It's
kind of true. Yeah. If we consider, like,
we're seeing it already.
The child audience, I feel like they would just see, considering what we're seeing, the audience, what we're seeing in chat, the audience saying, no, I would back up Boots no matter what. I guess, yeah, but wait.
Oh, yeah?
I want you guys to consider this. So if we can see that Shabani has a level of mind control over human women, women make up 50% of the human population, and so
oh my God.
Would it be that the audience, if it is comprised equally of men and women, the women start rooting for Shabani and the men root for Boots, and then we wind up with just a pure statistical gambit. Whichever room or TV that Boots accesses, however many, the gender split defines who wins the battle.
Oh God, but that is true. The children wouldn't understand. They haven't developed empathy, so they're gonna back up Boots. So would there be more of a think about this? The audience for a tourney of monkeys and gorillas and apes, would there be more adult women watching or more children?
It depends, because, like, Dora the Explorer is most commonly watched by children, yes, but who are those children watching it with? Their mums, I'd say, not always, but statistically, a lot of the time, it'll be a stay-at-home mother who is showing them, Boots. Obviously, there are stay-at-home dads out there as well, and that would create an interesting skew. But if we look at the statistics, more likely than not, it is going to be a stay-at-home mom. So the women there would be able to fight their children psychically to back up Shabani while the children are backing up Boots. It depends on if they have multiple children, because obviously, regardless of the gender of the child, they're always going to root for Boots. But this is maybe a little too complicated for us to even reach a conclusion. I feel like this just comes down to the population of the world, at least the population of the Earth that can access a television.
Yeah. I do feel like we have a relatively decent sample size with us right now. Maybe it could be a
relatively decent. Okay, I mean, I know if we're gonna do a poll. We're gonna do a poll. Okay.
I think I know the answer already.
I already know the answer. Okay. Who would? Okay. I'm gonna ask. What is your gender?
What?
If you're a woman, then I'm gonna consider that a vote for Shabani, because listen, it's not about what you want. Shabani clearly has some kind of mind control, okay? But okay, what is your so if you're a straight woman, or if you're a gay man, if you're attracted to men, Shabani, it works on you, right? If not, you snap out of it and you go for Boots, okay? What is your gender? It's either you're a okay. I'm gonna reword this, right? Which of these describes you? All right, so you are either a straight woman or a gay man, bisexual.
This is insane. This is insane.
Or bisexual included. Okay, straight woman / gay man, or are you a straight man / gay woman? And then a third option: are you either are you other? So that completely includes ace, or non-binary. Etc. So, we want to make sure that I can completely include everybody here. And obviously, if you're trans, you're chosen, or you're, you know, the gender that you are transitioning to. Obviously, that is. So if you're a trans woman, then do think with your sexuality, obviously. So let's make sure everybody can vote in this. All right. So this is. So we're gonna leave this going for a little bit.
Way to collect
this. I mean, listen. Both of these characters, all of their power comes from a form, I guess, of mind control. Really, it's Caesar versus you know, of Spectre again, where Boots genuinely rallies the audience, but Shibani mind controls anyone who's attracted to men. So.
Oh my god.
So guys, don't lie, right? Do not lie, guys. Answer it honestly, because if we're considering this the average sample size, this is what would win. Okay?
Oh my god. That is insane. That is
So, from what I'm seeing right now, almost 60% of the audience are straight women or gay men, which means they are attracted to Shibani, which means that his mind control would work. I'm sorry, guys, but when it comes to this stream, Boots doesn't have the power. Shibani has... This is Shibani's network, you know? If Shibani was a member of NIJISANJI, I'd be afraid for my fan base, because he'd be walking off with all of them.
Oh, this is insane. This is insane. I think we should just give it to Shibani and call it done.
Let's just call it a day. All right, Shibani, listen, I know you guys... Boots might go on a crazy losers run. Remember, there's still the losers bracket to do, okay?
Oh, that is crazy. That is insane.
Thank you for voting in the poll, everybody. Thank you for voting in the poll and for being honest. Right.
Thank you for your honesty.
There we go. Thank you for your honesty, everybody. Okay. Shibani somehow advances once again. King Julian versus Gorilla Grodd. He's a regular gorilla who just happens to be really attractive. He's just handsome and he has just kept winning. He's just kept winning. Oh my god. Okay.
I gotta cool down.
King Julian versus Gorilla Grodd. So King Julian has absorbed the soul of Harambe and obviously all of his ex-wives, but is that enough to beat Gorilla Grodd?
I don't know. I'm thinking no, just with what we read about Grodd earlier, right? Because
yeah,
Mort is very resilient, so it's not clear what would take him down. You know, the whole idea is that he'll survive.
Oh, wait. No. But listen, right? If Gorilla Grodd has mind control, he could mind control Mort to turn on King Julian.
Oh, I don't think that's conceivable. He's obsessed with King Julian.
But
I feel like that would break everything.
But Gorilla Grodd, I mean, yeah, I guess, but the thing about, but is Mort intelligent?
No, he's single-mindedly obsessed with King Julian's feet. That's canon, by the way. I'm not being silly. That's his whole thing.
I didn't even think about that, but I'm suddenly remembering Madagascar, and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of a freak like that, isn't he?
It was specifically his feet that he wanted.
So
nothing about
that's
King
the
Julian
thing.
as an individual.
I feel like that would work, right? More like if Gorilla Grodd uses his mind control, he can manipulate Mort to basically say, the only way you're gonna get access to King Julian's feet is if you team up with me. And he's like, oh well, I guess I can do that. And then King Julian's like, Mort, what are you doing, Mort? And then and then he turns on him. I'm sorry, King Julian, I have to do this.
Oh, uncanny. It's like they're in the room with me.
No, Mort, please, you have to stop. I have to move it. And, Mort, what was that TikTok from a while ago? The guy was like, Mort, I'm paralyzed from the neck down, and I cannot move it.
I cannot move it
move it. In that sense, I feel like Gorilla Grodd just, with two combatants that are, on the same team that could be turned against each other with Mort's clear weaknesses, I think Gorilla Grodd just completely wipes the floor with it. And maybe after this, Mort joins Gorilla Grodd. But then I think after he comes to his senses, Mort would be completely consumed with grief, and he wouldn't be able to keep fighting. So I think, he just leaves it behind.
I kind of love the idea of him just following along, though, just changing the bracket entirely.
We have to kind of keep a
I
list
love
of mental notes as to which characters have powered up from their previous battles.
That was my favorite thing about Harambe's run so far.
Harambe, yeah,
Like
got
the
his soul was
continuity of his ghost
consumed.
form.
Yeah. So now, not only is Mort. I mean, we kind of go into like the realm of the theoretical here, but if Gorilla Grodd were, it's mind control, and he's absorbed the souls of those people. If there are enough souls in there, would Gorilla Grodd have to mind control all of them as well? Would Mort have enough latent energy and sort of powerful souls in his body to fight back against the mind control? Maybe they would say this body doesn't belong to you, and maybe like Bill Cipher at the end of Gravity Falls, they can trap Gorilla Grodd's consciousness inside of Mort, and then I feel like that's kind of
That is an excellent point, actually, because I vividly remember with Mort, the main clue that all these souls have been absorbed is that they are living and like conscious inside of him, and they speak through him sometimes to him. Like he has conversations with himself or with these souls that he's absorbed.
That's true. I guess they might
so
be
if
able to
they-
snap him out of it. I don't know.
Or else just like assume control when he's out of the pilot seat,
I just love the completely ordinary chat. Just punt Mort. He's small. We're going so crazy theoretical with this, and then it's just this like, yeah. I mean, look at him. Just kick him. I mean,
Yeah, think about it that way, because even in this scenario where Mort can still regain control, this is Gorilla Grodd.
Gorilla Grodd, who is able to ambush and catch the Flash, who is seemingly faster than any other fictional character ever thought up. So. Yeah, I feel like Gorilla Grodd, before Mort or King Julian could even come up with even the remotest theory, beyond this whole scenario where Gorilla Grodd mind controls Mort, I think Gorilla Grodd just advances at light speed and punches them both, and they instantly are just flattened into the ground. So I think
the only scenario where Grodd can even be disoriented is if King Julian gets music running to like get him to dance. But
that's true. That's true.
I think Grodd's got the mental fortitude to resist.
Could Mort summon the souls of the past as the ghosts, like from Return of the King, and lead them as a ghost army like Aragorn? Probably not. If that's never been done, they're just inside his mind almost,
Yeah, I think they're in his mind palace. Yeah.
Okay. In that sense, I think Gorilla Grodd takes this. Okay. And so obviously then we have, we got one more round of the winner's bracket, then it goes to the loser's bracket, and we'll do all of that. Okay. Donkey Kong versus Sun Wukong. So it's now the time Donkey Kong. So I feel like Sun Wukong does win, but I need to know just how close it would be, because like we saw in terms of strength, Sun Wukong has moved the moon, and Donkey Kong has very much done the same. So I feel like it would definitely be Sun Wukong, but I mean, apparently Donkey Kong, it depends on the iteration. Donkey Kong is considered a high 4C, whereas Sun Wukong, in some iterations was considered a 1, but in others 4A or at least 6A. It's kind of dubious because Sun Wukong has been portrayed in so many different works of fiction, Yeah,
he's been around for so long.
But if we're considering them both at their very best, obviously Sun Wukong would win. But Donkey Kong has a lot of... so Donkey Kong's attack potency only multi-continent level as opposed to multi-universe level. Speed, actually, they're kind of both similar, considered both massively faster than light. So, yeah, pretty much the same speed, really, apparently. Higher with Ultra DK Barrel, Special Barrel that rocket... comparable to the likes of Mario. And of course, Mario, we don't even want to look at that because that one is going to include just the most ridiculous thing. Apparently, according to this, Donkey Kong can keep up with Sun Wukong in terms of speed, which is fantastic.
That's great.
But in terms of...
I'm also... I'm reading here that Wukong has achieved immortality 7 distinct times. And that they overlap with each other.
Okay, I know Sun Wukong wins. I just think it's funny to imagine. I feel as though it would be an interesting battle, and because Sun Wukong has, Goku is based on Sun Wukong, and Goku, from what I understand, loves, a good fight. He loves to grow as a combatant. So I think that Sun Wukong and Donkey Kong would at the very least have a very interesting battle.
Yeah.
But Sun Wukong would definitely emerge victorious at the end of that. Like, there's not really much consideration there. We know this.
It makes me sad to imagine DK in that position, but there's really there's no helping him.
Exactly.
I do think he put up a good fight though. I think it might be a slightly tougher one for Wukong than he's used to.
If DK can mimic Buddha Punch, DK will win. Can DK does DK have a mimicry move? Can he do that? Can he mimic techniques?
I don't remember anything like that, but maybe it could be argued that his because he like punching is his whole thing.
Yeah.
He charges up his punches. So maybe he could do something close enough. Maybe something similar to it.
Something. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that was just sort of.
I'm thinking no, but
an idea. Yeah. Sun Wukong can transform. Yeah. I mean. Well, Donkey Kong could survive in space. He's battled Sumo Kong in space with no issues, so he's completely immune to the vacuum of space. But yeah, no. I mean, Sun Wukong wins, but it would at the very least be a very, very interesting fight. I would love to see Death Battle analyze that and make that into a video.
Like with the pixel animation.
The animations would be pretty cool to see. I would like to see that.
I love those. Okay.
Shabani versus Gorilla Grodd. I think Shabani's reign of terror has finally come to an end. Shabani doesn't even know that a tournament is going on.
He's just an actual gorilla. It is astounding that he's made it this far.
Shabani has just been bumbling along with his army of sycophantic female fans, just completely, powering him on. But I think Gorilla Grodd is a little too strong. Unfortunately, Gorilla Grodd is a bit too strong. Who is Shabani? Shabani is a handsome gorilla. That's all you need to know, is he's handsome. And that's it. That's his only power.
I think his gaze would sway most people, but I don't think it would sway Grodd.
No. Now here's the question. Is Gorilla Grodd gay?
Well, okay, hold on.
Gorilla Grodd.
There may be canon information for this. It's
sexuality. Okay, dumb question, but okay, on r/My Adventures with Superman, is Gorilla Grodd gay with the robot? His name is, that's not Gorilla Grodd. Okay, so it's a different evil gorilla. Oh, but that's Monsieur Malin, not Gorilla Grodd. Okay, so that's a mistake. But that is a gay gorilla. Okay. That is a gay gorilla.
Okay.
I don't think...
Is there any romance for Grodd?
I don't know. Gorilla Grodd romance.
I can't find anything.
There's people have been in love with Grodd, but I don't know if Grodd has ever oh no, apparently Grodd has had relationships with women. So Grodd is not gay. We don't know if he's bisexual, but with nothing to confirm it, we have to assume that Gorilla Grodd is straight, which means that Shabani has no power over Gorilla Grodd, and Gorilla Grodd would win.
I think even in this scenario where he is gay, I feel like he's stone cold enough and dedicated enough to his cause that
exactly.
I think he'd be able to break through.
In that sense, yeah, it'd be like he's overcoming a succubus. He's just he needs to. It's about his force of will. So I'm gonna say obviously.
No monkey yaoi today.
No monkey yaoi today. Sadly, Shabani's reign of terror finally comes to an end with Gorilla Grodd. And so the final... So winners finals before the grand finals. Sun Wukong versus Gorilla Grodd. Obviously, once again, Sun Wukong wins. I mean, Gorilla Grodd, I would say, because he's almost as fast as the Flash, Gorilla Grodd can probably keep up with Sun Wukong on a speed level, but I think Sun Wukong is too mentally strong to be mind-controlled. So I think that Sun Wukong definitely clears this one as well. To be honest, I want to move on. I'm kind of sick of talking about Gorilla Grodd. Something about DC characters, it's like, okay, there's just so much to consider with like a billion different comic lines. I'm like, you know what? Whatever you want, guys. If you want it, yeah. Sun Wukong beats Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd is dead.
Yeah. He's dead and gone.
All right.
It is kind of fitting though that the final bracket would be like a hero figure and then a villain.
Oh god, we have to do that. We have to basically just do the entire thing all over again. Okay.
maybe we could
lightning round. Lightning round.
Everybody's
okay.
abilities.
Winston versus Coco. Coco is a normal gorilla, and Winston is very, very kind. But if he needed to fight in order to save Overwatch, he would fight. So Winston beats Coco.
I think he'd win.
I think.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he'd win. He's stronger. He's smarter. He's got everything he needs.
Okay. Bubbles versus the real gorilla. Now, what's interesting is this is a chimpanzee versus a gorilla, but also a gorilla with a zebra that can survive underwater, whereas this is just a normal gorilla. A normal chimpanzee. So I think that the real gorilla beats Bubbles, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's also like in theory, it's 3 humans as well, and I think a chimp can do serious damage to 1 person, but I don't know about 3 if they're coordinated.
Exactly. Okay. Winston versus II. Now, I think in terms of strength, if we're being real about this, Winston definitely wins. II can't really do anything to Winston. You know what, actually? Winston ult, Primal Rage, he can move the ball around. He can, like, bat it away. So if he forces a ring out by forcing him out of the Coliseum, then Winston wins by default. So
that's what I was just thinking. Almost like a game of baseball.
Yes, exactly. Home run.
Yeah.
Home run. Okay.
Yeah.
Winston wins again.
You should do something like that, like a sports game. You should be the
nice cock.
Strike.
Fucking hell. Curious George versus Mankey. I mean, so you understand it's Mankey, right? Like Pokemon just clear most non-Pokemon with the sheer amount of moves.
He's got
Curious
too much going
George is just a little guy. He might be fast, but you know, that's it. Haircut Monkey versus Rafiki.
This one gives me a question. Like, Rafiki is wise, but he's also merciful, and I think he'd only act in self-defense. But the Haircut Monkey, he's just gonna sit there. I don't think he's gonna fight for his life.
Would Rafiki surrender and leave, allowing the Haircut Monkey to advance? Actually, Rafiki is merciful, and he would know that the Haircut Monkey would be absolutely demolished by anything that comes next. So Rafiki would mercifully, he would mercy kill the Haircut Monkey, knowing that he could make it quick and painless, whereas Mojo Jojo would torture the Haircut Monkey for years.
Yeah, I agree. I think you'd give him one quick, just a quick thwack on the back of the neck.
Oh, poor Haircut Monkey, taken from us too soon.
Poor monkey.
All right, Monkey Kung Fu Panda versus Koba. Monkey is a martial arts god, and Koba is, you know, he has used guns before, but I think that Monkey would be able to deflect the bullets. To be honest, I think he's got that kind of sauce about him. So I'm gonna say Monkey takes this pretty handily. You know.
Yeah, I need to see him go further. I think I kind of want to disregard the army for Koba this time.
I feel like that's true. Real gorilla from SpongeBob versus Lamunka. There's nothing to even analyze here. The Lamunka just sort of sits there, and the real gorilla's whole thing is that the real gorilla tore SpongeBob in half. He did do that. So, and SpongeBob is a sponge, but he has an offensive move. We know that he can do something besides get on the zebra and run away. So Lamunka, all he does is sit. So I think still, real gorilla would just very gradually pick away at Lamunka until he slowly died. So
a little at a time.
Yeah, real gorilla takes this. He's cleared a couple opponents now.
Yeah, like a river smoothing out a stone.
Beautiful analogy. Rillaboom versus Abu. Abu is a normal monkey. Rillaboom is a Pokemon, and a big one at that.
I think it's Rillaboom. I'm sorry.
Rillaboom is just going to pick up Abu and squeeze, and Abu is just going to fall to the ground in a heap.
Stretch him like taffy, even.
Andros, the giant floating head versus tiny little undead monkey. This is no contest. Andros is...
I think Andros is just going to blast him to pieces with a laser. No, he controls the armada.
Exactly. Andros is just going to eat him like one of those little birds and just chew on, just crunch the bones up in his mouth. The Guardian Ape versus Space
Oh, the space chimps have had it so bad every single time. They can't win.
The Guardian Ape inspires a little kind of entourage, a small army of regular apes, and regular apes are what the space chimps are, albeit with more intelligence. The Guardian Ape would eat them for breakfast immediately. The guardian ape would just spin a few times and they would all be sent flying into the wall and die instantly. All right, good progress. Good progress. Harambe versus Winston.
Oh God! Okay.
So sad.
Is he still a ghost at this point?
Yes.
Because these are canonically the losers.
So this is the losers round. So Harambe, once he's beaten by King Julian, his soul is absorbed, and so he's not even here. Harambe fails to arrive to the losers round match, so Winston just advances
Wins by default.
Really, Harambe kept going until his fight with King Julian. So we'll consider Harambe as being in there when King Julian does his next fight. But otherwise, Harambe is marked absent for this one. He failed. He was not present for roll call, so Winston advances by default. Okay, great.
That is ridiculous.
Okay.
Okay.
King Kong versus Mankey.
I usually would advocate for a Pokemon in any scenario, even though King Kong is large. But I do think King Kong is just large enough to have the edge here. I think you'd squish Mankey.
Was there some move that deals increased damage based on a Pokemon's weight, like an enemy's weight?
Oh yeah, low kick.
Low kick.
I think.
Wait, let me read
I
about.
mixed that up with another one.
Mankey low kick. Low kick move. Low kick has 100% accuracy, so it's guaranteed to hit. Its power is dependent on the weight of the target, inflicting greater damage on heavier targets.
It's over.
So, with King Kong's weight, all Mankey has to do is use low kick and he can one-shot King Kong.
Yeah, it's over. It's over for King Kong. There's no hope.
All right, Mankey.
That move really breaks it for him.
All right, Mankey, you win. I'm sorry, King Kong, you got kind of messed up on this one, but Mankey... it has a maximum attack power, but I mean, surely that could be pretty high. I mean, if we consider this like a max level, a maxed out Mankey, I'm pretty sure he'd be able to, he'd be able to do it, Versus what is ultimately just a super humongous gorilla. Exactly. Okay. I think it's Mankey. I think also just for the funniness of it, I think Mankey beating King Kong is just what I would prefer to happen. How much HP does King Kong have? I don't know. A decent amount. I think Calyx is locked in again. I'm just gonna chill and wait for him to get back with whatever's going on. I remember the early debut days. You're still figuring out technical issues. While I'm here, Liusha, thank you so much for the Aka Super, and Tokito, thank you for the gift. We had a lot of gifted today. Really appreciate seeing all of that.
This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Uh-oh. Mankey beats King Kong. Mojo Jojo versus Rafiki.
Okay. I love Rafiki. I've been rooting for him this whole time, but I think with the mechs that Mojo has at his disposal, I feel like that's gonna be stronger than a monkey.
I just realized you're not modded. I never remember to mod people until they turn up in the chat the
this
first
is
time.
Okay. I expect this from everybody for the next 6 months, and I'm at peace with it.
It used to be easy back in the day, but then after a little while, there are so many people and people join, and I'm just like, I think I've modded them, but then I haven't. I'm just keeping an eye out. Where there you are.
I do not think anything of this.
Add as mod. So you are now a moderator. Well done. Okay.
Let's go.
Mojo Jojo versus Rafiki. I mean, Mojo Jojo has all these powers. Rafiki is a shaman. He might be able to, I don't know, do something, but I feel like Mojo Jojo just kind of, this is like Rafiki in some heroic sense, like holds him off almost for a bit to save somebody, but it's no one to save. He's just kind of, feel like unfortunately...
This was for the haircut monkey.
This is for the haircut monkey, exactly. He went out, he knew he could have lived if he had just walked away, but he had to save the haircut monkey's life because otherwise he would have been flattened by Mojo Jojo.
He'll die a hero.
Unfortunately, Mojo Jojo is going to take it. Villainy and evil wins again.
Evil just has its perks.
Gordy versus Monkey. So this is regular chimpanzee in human clothes versus martial arts expert. Obviously, Monkey clears Gordy. Gordy might have the edge slightly in terms of physical strength because Monkey is just a monkey, whereas Gordy is a chimpanzee. But monkey definitely has the skills to pay the bills here.
I think he could navigate around it easily, even with the gap in strength.
I think so. So what do you think about Mario 64 Monkey Ukiki versus the real gorilla from SpongeBob?
Okay, I want you to hear me out here, okay?
Okay.
So Ukiki's whole function is that he steals a hat, right?
Oh no.
And a hat in general, that's an article of clothing, right? Mm-hmm. So if the real gorilla is actually just a man in a suit, could it be argued that Ukiki could also steal the suit off his back? Could it be argued?
I think that's reasonable to assume. He steals the gorilla suit, revealing the person underneath, and then what are they gonna do? Like, if this monkey can steal something off of, I don't know. It really does come down to speed, but Ukiki is pretty fast. He can jump around.
Yep. And I feel like since we're also including losses by default or victories by default, right? Disqualification. Would he be qualified as a participant in this event?
If the monkey suit gets taken off, he's not even a gorilla anymore, and it's disqualified.
Right?
Ukiki wins. Yeah. Ukiki wins.
That's the way for Ukiki. Yeah.
Easy. Rillaboom versus spinning gorilla.
I kind of love the vision of the spinning gorilla like pounding loops on the drum, because the drum has a snare in the front, right?
Yeah.
Rillaboom, but this is still another cliche of a Pokemon against an actual animal.
You know, I honestly just want to say this is a tie. I want to believe that Rillaboom starts busting a tune and then spinning gorilla starts spinning to it, and both of them just hang out, and this match never ends. I just want to kind of believe that, because we know there will come a point when Rillaboom gets beaten by somebody else down the line. So can we just let these two be happy for once? Can we honestly, allow this?
If we're including Harambe and King Julian's continued and extended canon, maybe they can fight together.
Maybe they can become a unit. Oh my god. Okay, wait. Can I edit this? Oh no.
The structure of the fight to the death.
Okay. Well, I just put spinning gorilla. Hang on. Oh shit. Wait. Can I go back? Oh fuck. Wait. I don't know if I can reverse that. I right click to try and reverse it, so I think spinning gorilla just beat 3 people by accident. In
a miraculous turn of events.
The spinning gorilla. Oh, but then King Julian with his whole arc and everything. Oh my god.
Oh, that's devastating.
Oh no, we can correct it. We can correct it. Okay, thank God. Okay. So spinning gorilla, Rillaboom. Let's say that Rillaboom clearly has the power advantage, but for the sake of the narrative, Rillaboom wins and he brings spinning gorilla along with him, and they both become like a dancing troupe of 2 gorillas who team up. Okay, because they don't have a skin in the game. They don't want to fight. This is the entertainment factor, and entertainment factor is what matters most to gorillas.
Yeah, that's everything. Honestly, that's enough to charm most of the contestants here.
Okay, nice. I like it. King Louie versus Andros. Big monkey versus big monkey's head.
Okay, is Andros in control of all his stuff, all his tech, his
I believe so.
His cannons? I feel like that's gonna beat a monkey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gigantopithecus, no matter how big, he's just gonna get shot a couple times and be like, ooh, and that's...
Or like Micropithecus.
It's gonna be it. Micropithecus. He's just gonna shrink him down somehow, and that's gonna be that. Andros gets it. Caesar versus the Guardian Ape.
Okay. Strength in numbers, right? Does Caesar have his army this time around?
No, he does, but here's the thing. In Sekiro, before you meet the Guardian Ape, he's not surrounded by, but nearby, there are huge amounts of normal monkeys just hanging out. So implying, in a sense, that the Guardian Ape also inspires loyalty in other monkeys. So really, this is normal ape with an army versus absolute giga monkey with an army. So
that's just monkey politics. That's leader versus leader.
But the Caesar is like sleepy guardian ape. He doesn't understand what it means to lead. Doesn't understand what it means to lead an army of monkeys. I'm the greatest monkey leader, and then the guardian ape goes and just bites his head off.
That is insane.
It just bites his head off.
I still want to say it's guardian ape just for his feats of strength, his supernatural abilities.
He can just, and also his like terror scream wins in like it kills everything in an area around him. So if they somehow got his head off, he could do that, and then immediately all of Caesar's army instantly die of pure terror. So yeah, guardian ape moves on. All right, we're getting there now. Winston versus Mankey. I think Mankey probably has low health, I would imagine. He's probably got pretty low HP. If we translate Overwatch hit points to Pokemon hit points, how many hit points?
Winston's a tank, right?
Winston's a tank. He's got 600 health. Mankey has, how much health does a Mankey typically have?
It depends on the level. Is this like a maxed out? Is this a level 100 Mankey?
Level 100 Mankey, let's say.
All right, unevolved too. That's the funniest thing.
Unevolved, somehow, yes.
Okay. Let's see. I wonder if I can find that. What are the levels?
He's got around 200 to 300 health. So it depends on if we consider how many. So it's turn-based. How many? Well, I don't know. If we consider like, it's very difficult to translate a first-person shooter into a turn-based combat system. But
I was gonna say, doesn't Winston just have a gun?
Winston does have a gun, yes. And he also has like this Tesla cannon which works on lower HP targets. So can Mankey kick through Winston's bubble? I mean, melee attacks in Overwatch work through the bubble, but would Mankey be able to do that? I feel like he'd just be able to walk right through the bubble. I feel like that's not really gonna
But would Mankey be able to reach him in time if he can attack from a distance with a gun?
He can. Winston could just strafe. He could just strafe around. He could just zap away at him, and he'd be able to kill him with the Tesla cannon in like maybe 6, 7, 8 seconds of just.
Yeah, no, I think this is Winston's game.
I think Winston beats Mankey. Holy shit!
I've been rooting for Mankey, but
I'm always.
I feel like Winston had a bit of an undignified and early loss in the first bracket.
I'm always gonna root for Winston. I'm sorry, Mankey. It had to be done for the good of Overwatch. A Mankey in motion stays in motion. Mojo Jojo versus Monkey. This would be a great fight, honestly. Wait, was this actually already? Did we already do this? I think we did.
Did we?
I think this was an exact matchup that happened earlier. Yeah, Mojo Jojo versus Monkey, and we decided Mojo Jojo won. So
yeah, because he couldn't get through his mech.
Yeah. Now, here's the question, though, right? Mojo Jojo has lost multiple times. Mojo Jojo lost to, who did he lose to? Boots. If Mojo Jojo has an ego, losing to a children's mascot, I think would so thoroughly destroy his ego. I don't know. I feel like he'd be weaker in his loser's run.
I think so too. I think he'd more than weaker, he'd be off his game. That's his weakness. He enters a tantrum and loses his focus. I think he does get a little stronger as a result, but he's still, he's not coordinated. And I think that's where Monkey's strengths come into play. Because he's a martial artist. He's trained. He's disciplined.
He would taunt him, and I think when it comes to fights, where someone has an ego, I think that it can be an asset and a curse. And really, when it comes down to it, if you're worried too much about the outcome of a fight, I think it does tend to negatively affect your performance a lot of the time. If it requires precision, like operating machinery, I feel like that might be a lot worse.
That being said, Mojo's entire career has been getting stomped by 3 kids. 3 children's mascots, just like Boots. So maybe he's kind of seasoned to this. Maybe
he's just used to it by now. He's constantly lost. Whereas Monkey lost to Tai Lung, but otherwise he's one of the Furious 5. He's never really lost to many people at all because he doesn't fight children. So Monkey, yeah, I think Mojo Jojo would still probably win because Monkey, he's not used to losing. So on his losers bracket run, he also got an ego on him. He'd probably still be feeling a little shitty about it.
I would have loved to see Monkey triumph in a rematch, but I think I agree. I think it might be Mojo's game.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Oh yeah?
Consider the next game as well.
Oh my god. Mojo Jojo versus Spectre. I think this is also happening again. Like, this is another rematch. Oh no, it's not. Wait, Mojo Jojo. No.
Wait, maybe I misremembered.
Okay, yeah. In that case, yeah. Mojo Jojo
okay,
versus Spectre. That's going to be interesting when we get around to that.
Okay. I want to see that in that case.
So Mario 64 Monkey versus Rillaboom teaming up with Spinning Gorilla. This is like an absolute shit show. Monkey, the Ukiki is going to get fucking torn to shreds. Really, only.
It's a wonder he's made it this far.
Exactly, it's a miracle he's made it this far. Really, only on a massive technicality against the real gorilla from SpongeBob. I feel like maybe the monkey also joins them.
Honestly, I support it. He can, because I know his game is just stealing people's clothes, but maybe that makes him kind of like a party animal. Maybe he's just down for a good time.
A little bit. And he is, they can communicate with him. Really, he might even become the leader of the pack because he can speak with Mario. He can speak English, whereas Rillaboom cannot. And, I think that might actually work. So in that case, yeah, I think these guys are just slowly forming a bit of a D&D party where Spinning Gorilla, Rillaboom, and Ukiki are just going to become like a tribe at this point.
I kind of love to see that because I think individually most of them would not, actually all of them would not stand a chance against the front runners in the end. But as a group of 3, they really might.
They really
might have an honest chance.
Okay, so let's stick with Rillaboom as the leader of the team. He's going to move on and they're going to have Mario 64. He's the brains of the operation.
Yeah. Brains behind the operation.
Now, I would love to see this. Andros versus the Guardian Ape. I would love to see this. These are both villainous, evil bastards. These are both dastardly monkeys. I mean, the whole thing is that they're both huge. The Guardian Ape is very, 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 very fast. He has like the speed of a small monkey in the body of a huge monkey. He can really dart around, he can roll, he can jump, he can probably climb things really fast. Andros can fly around, he's got projectiles, he's got mad science technology, or both of them are high. Apparently Andros's brain is like a weird blob hidden inside of the monkey head, which is just a facade that he built to hide his disgusting true form after all of his experiments, similarly to how the Guardian Ape hides his centipede inside of him that controls his immortality. So
it's a battle of the 2 guys with decapitated heads.
I guess so. Only the Guardian Ape loses his head and Andros is a head. So maybe... Okay, these guys are not going to team up. There's no way that the Guardian Ape could affix Andros to his own head and then they could just become a weird, like, Funko Pop.
That would be so good,
Funko Pop looking thing with Andros's head and the Guardian Ape holding his own actual head in his hand with a sword, and then they have to fight Boots.
I kind of want to see it, though. I kind of want to see that. I don't think it would realistically happen, but with the allowances we've made for
I think
Rillaboom
so. I think so. So Andros and the Guardian. So what this requires, really, if we're being honest, though, I don't think this would work long term, because if Andros tried this, right? If Andros tried this, he would affix himself and try to wire himself up to the Guardian Ape, but then the Guardian Ape, from his neck hole, after his head has been severed, can do that terror scream, which guaranteed one-shots anything that hears it. And so he would just be right there, right in front of it, and the Guardian Ape would go, Weep! And then he would just instantly die. So
it'd be over for the team.
Oh, but I want to see it happen, though. I mean, that'd be pretty funny.
I would love to see it happen.
I think...
Maybe they can join and it can happen mid-match in the future.
Maybe Andros can come back or something. Guardian Ape, I think in that sense, I think Guardian Ape does have to win, because I don't think Andros has like the I don't think he'd be able to take out the centipede. I think Guardian Ape would keep coming back, and Guardian Ape, he just needs to land that one move and then it's over. So absolutely, I think Guardian Ape wins, but maybe.
And
Andros
even as much as I'd like to see it, I don't think either of them would ever make that kind of concession, would they?
No, I mean, Guardian Ape is a very wild animal. He would never consider the moral side of it. He would never think twice about teaming up with anything. He would just be like, "I'm hungry. I want to eat a banana," Infernape versus Winston. So Winston already cleared one Pokemon, but could he clear Infernape? This is an evolved Pokemon. This is a stronger Pokemon.
It's got the abilities of fire, both at close range and from a distance. Fire also never goes out as part of his like Pokedex information, I think.
I feel like Winston kind of meets his match here, because if Infernape is able to just set Winston on fire, he's got lots of fur that can burn for a while.
That's true. That's true. And it's also important to mention this is a third evolution starter, and those are often among the strongest you
Very
can get
strong.
in any of the games.
Yeah, they just kind of stomp everything else in the game, and you never really have another challenge for the rest of your Pokemon playthrough. So
just max level it and brute force your way.
I remember playing Pokemon Shield with my roommates a few years ago, and we literally never died once. Not one single time did we ever die. We had our Rillaboom from the beginning. We did the Elite Four, and we did the what is it? The gym champion, the guy at the very end, still did not die because Rillaboom was that strong. He just kept living constantly. Was always healed, always Dynamaxing. So I feel like in that case, Infinite probably just beats Winston. You know, Fire beats Steel type. So
that's true. I didn't even consider that. Yeah, no, this is Infernape's game for sure in that case.
Fair enough. Sorry, Winston. Oh, Overwatch is doomed. Spectre versus Mojo Jojo.
The mech using Brainiacs. So after Spectre's last battle, has he sustained any losses? Does he still have his usual entourage, his equipment?
I feel like he does. They're back to, their full strength. Mojo Jojo is feeling an emotional second wind after beating Monkey. So I'd say they're both pretty much back to full strength.
Okay. Oh, that's tough. But my thought here is that it's probably going to go to Spectre purely for the fact that I'd say they're probably around equal in intellect, but Spectre also has strength in numbers. Mojo usually works alone. He doesn't really have an army or any sidekicks or anything like that. The closest thing he's ever done to that was when he turned an entire town of people into dogs, but it wasn't to serve him.
They were just dogs for no reason.
Yeah, he just turned them into dogs to inconvenience and hurt them, so that he could steal from I think it was so he could steal something.
I like it. Yeah. No, yeah, I can see that happening. Okay. So yeah, I think I agree. Spectre wins because no matter what Mojo Jojo's got, if an army of mind-controlled monkeys start tearing that mech to shreds, it's not going to be able to do all that much. So yeah, I think I agree with you. Spectre wins. I was worried there because I have these are two characters I'm not tremendously familiar with. So I was like, they sound like the exact same guy to me. I would have completely.
They're the exact same archetype of just really intelligent and inventive ape that hates people.
Exactly. Okay. So now we go back to this little fucking fantasy football league we have going on. King Julian is forming his own party with Mort, who has the soul of Harambe in him, and Rillaboom, who is in a party with the Mario 64 monkey and the spinning gorilla. So what do they do here? What do they do? I mean, remember that this... So Mort... King Julian has been, like Mort is absolutely devastated. Because he was I don't know if we went ahead with the whole mind control plot, but either way, these two are grieving massively. They feel that emotionally they're in shambles, and then these guys come along playing funny music, and maybe Ukiki steals something from them or something like that.
But consider this: all King Julian wants to do is move it. I feel, even in a state of grief, we could expand this party even further.
Oh my god. So, King Julian, Rillaboom, Spinning Gorilla, Mario 64 Monkey, and Harambe are all on the same team because King Julian likes to move it. Oh my god. I can't believe I never considered that. I feel like, oh my god.
I feel like this is the only way any of them can make it to the end. It's so crazy.
They have to move it. Oh my god. Yeah.
It's really just a growing dance party.
So is Rillaboom staying as the leader of the party, or is King? I guess because he's playing the music and King Julian is dancing along. So like Rillaboom is commanding a thing. So yeah, King Julian joins Rillaboom, and then now we have with the soul of Harambe and Mort. So now we have a party of 6. We have a full team. But this is a very interesting one. Boots versus the Guardian Ape.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing about this, right? So if we're to understand that Boots' whole strategy is revolved around getting the audience attention and then saying, can you say, Guardian Ape, kill yourself? The thing is... The Guardian Ape has an enormous sword all the way through his neck, and when Sekiro beats him for the first time, he grabs that sword and twists it so that his head pops off, and then he stands back up, picks up the sword and his head, and then he starts fighting back. So really, Boots would just activate the Guardian Ape's second form, because the Guardian Ape is immortal until he has that centipede killed, and you really have to get through, you know, that second form before you can even get at the centipede. All Boots is able to do is activate the Guardian Ape's second, more powerful form that has access to the insta-kill terror screen. So... I don't hate really Boots. This is just. I'm thinking logically right now. Okay, I feel.
I'm just trying to think. Is there maybe anything else he could ask for help from the audience for in this matchup aside from from just KYS?
Maybe. I struggle to think of what it would be though. I mean, what else would you do to try? What would like, you know?
Even if because we entertained the idea of like a surrender, like a willful forfeit earlier with Rafiki. So I don't know. I think the only reason Boots ever met his match in the main bracket on it, I feel like he could have gone as far as Sun Wukong if it were not for the other scenario of like a contestant who is also as strong as their audience, right?
Yeah, it was a very similar matchup. Shabani just kind of happened, you know, statistically had the edge on
I don't think that the Guardian Ape has this audience gunning for. I think they're all rooting for his downfall, actually.
They are all rooting for his downfall, but here's the thing. Does that matter? What we need to figure out what Boots would specifically ask the audience in order to defeat the Guardian Ape. Chat, if you can give me something that Boots would say to the audience in order to... But Guardian Ape is a fictional ape. Is Boots not fictional? Is he real?
Half of this, more than half of this bracket, I think 90% of this bracket is fictional, no?
Yeah, like Shabani, Harambe, and what Bubbles are like the only real ones.
Oh.
Can you say
Boots sweep?
Turn off the TV. Oh yeah, the backpack. But what's in the backpack? Like the map. What is the map gonna do? If do you guys know how big the Guardian Ape is? He's got those big long teeth. Say centipede, but does Boots know about the centipede? In Sekiro, you need to travel very, very far, and you need to, you know. Also, Boots can't kill the centipede because he doesn't have the mortal blade, which can kill immortal beings. I forgot about that. Sekiro, you know, before you can kill the Guardian Ape, you need to go and find the mortal blade. So Boots can't win. He doesn't even know about the centipede because he hasn't done the reading that Sekiro has done. He hasn't spoken with the divine child of rebirth and can't, you know, he has backpack. Is the mortal blade going to be in the backpack? Why would it be in the backpack?
Exactly what they need. I feel like I don't know. I feel like she's always got exactly what they need for their adventure.
Let me look up the back. What are the limitations of the backpack? Dora backpack. It's just giving me Amazon merch. I want to know how powerful it is. Does the Dora backpack have everything possible in it?
It is always a different assortment of items every single episode, and it always has exactly what they need in the end among those items.
Oh my god, you're right.
So there is a conceivable chance that the mortal blade would be found in the backpack.
Holy shit. So if this is considered an episode, Boots would be able to find the mortal blade in the backpack, pull it out like Mary Poppins, and then he would be able to ask the audience, can you say Guardian Ape fall asleep, and then he drives the mortal blade into its open neck wound and draws out the centipede and then destroys the... Boots wins.
I think it's Boots' game. And even if he didn't know or couldn't find the centipede, there's another cliche in Dora where it's like, can you tell me where blank is? And then there's like a cursor on the screen.
Yeah.
Can you point out the centipede?
Can you show me where the ape's weakness is? So, I mean, Boots is the ape is fast, but Boots is also faster. You know, FromSoft enemies will always sort of slow down somewhat before they do a big move. So it would be a close fight, but if Boots can pull the mortal blade out of the backpack, because it always has what they need. Yeah, Boots wins. Oh my god, I can't believe it, but Boots wins.
I think this is Boots' game, yeah.
I can't believe it.
Clearly the fan favorite. I kind of want to see how far
I can't believe it. All right. So this, I feel like, is an easy one. Infernape versus Spectre. I think Spectre has just got so many gadgets, so much stuff. I feel like he's able to clear Infernape pretty easily.
Though maybe there's an argument to be made, the same one against Winston, where it's fire versus steel, right?
I guess
Spectre's
so.
making all of these things out of metallic materials. So.
I guess so, yeah. But does, you know, would he, if there are lots of apes around, would Infernape be able to use, like, does it happen in an AoE? I mean, Pokemon can only ever fight one other Pokemon at a time.
You know you know that one format of meme video where it's like one giant toad versus 100 tiny Bowsers, things like that. It'd kind of be like that because each Peepo can't really do much other than just run at you and flail its arms around. So I kind of, if we're operating by like regular mainline Pokemon game rules, he would have to go through each one individually. But maybe it could be some other format.
The thing is, he can also heal in between fights. So every time he beats one enemy, he could heal.
I never considered that. Is he a trained Infernape?
I mean, important. I don't know how else to, because Pokemon, I guess they don't have like overtime regeneration. He would need a Pokemon master with him, and obviously as an ape-only tournament, that would not be allowed.
I guess not. So maybe he just happens to have a berry on hand or something. Or
wait! Oh my god, I forgot! The Mortal Blade can't be wielded by a mortal. You need to be completely undying, and Sekiro can wield it because he dies twice. He picks it up, dies, and then comes back still holding it. Boots is not immortal, so if he carries the Mortal Blade, he will instantly die. So the Guardian Ape actually does win.
Oh no!
Oh my god, I can't believe I need to play Sekiro again. I completely forgot about that part. No, I'm sorry guys. I really wanted to give Boots this one because I like the whole pull it out of the backpack, but the moment he pulls it out of the backpack, he will hold it and instantly his heart will stop and he'll die. The Guardian Ape wins.
Imagine a victory by default for the Guardian Ape of all the contestants.
The Guardian Ape is running full pelt, Boots pulls the Mortal Blade out and then just dies.
Just falls over.
I'm sorry guys, but now you can understand. I gave Boots every single possible concession, but the fact that the Guardian Ape's one weakness would instantly kill Boots means that the Guardian Ape does win. Unfortunately, guys, I have to say that's just what it's gonna do.
I think he had a great run in the fantasy monkey sports.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So. Back to Infernape.
And Spectre.
I think Infernape probably can't heal in between, but he's probably a similar size to the other monkeys. So I feel like he would just, in a battle of attrition, if he can only fight them one at a time, he'd probably just, you know, be worn down before he could really get to Spectre, you know?
For sure. In that case, if we're operating by mainline Pokemon rules, it would have to be Spectre.
I think so.
He would not make it through all of them.
I think so.
In Ape Escape 3 in particular, there's actually fun trivia there. I think it's exactly 365 monkeys, 365 Peepos, and there's a zodiac description for every single birthday that you could have, including like a lucky item and romance and stuff. And they all have a distinct appearance as well.
I see. That's this is just so ridiculous. I can't move on from like the sudden retcon of the Guardian Ape Boots matchup and the fact that it was because
like the consideration to all these details. No, I appreciate this.
He can be immortal if he asks can he ask the audience, grant me immortality? I feel like that's kind of outside the audience's realm of ability. Like they can say swipe or no swiping and like stop swiper, but the audience can manipulate people, but they can't alter reality itself. They can't say, Boots, you are now immortal, and Boots can be like, wahoo, I'm a real boy, you know.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's not even like manipulating the other contestants. It's more like just really, really strongly encouraging them in the context of Dora, right? It's just like Swiper just succumbs to peer pressure.
That's it, yeah. But the Guardian Ape is kind of immune to that. Okay. So the party, Rillaboom, King Julian, Mort, Harambe, Ukiki, the Spinning Gorilla are moving it. and come up against the feral, the monstrous guardian ape.
I think this might be the end of the line.
Well, we have to consider they have many, many powers. They have many abilities. So the guardian ape is enormous, and he can throw doo-doo at them, and he can also, he's immortal and can come back after death.
He also has that death streak that works within a radius for everything in that radius, right? So he's kind of like built to take down a party.
Yes. So there's also Gorilla Boom has access to Dynamax or Gigantamax, which, although then again,
true.
I wonder if this is even possible without a Pokemon trainer present, though.
It is actually, but it
Oh,
would
is it?
have to be. It would have to be in a den for it to happen naturally. So this would have to, like, this Coliseum would just happen to have the Dynamax energy or whatever it was called.
I feel like that's
It's been a while since
pretty.
I played the game.
I feel like that's pretty reasonable. I feel like that's
Yeah.
pretty reasonable. You know.
Given everything else, right? Like, even it could be outfitted with it specifically for him, since so many of like the intellectual monkeys, for example, are allowed.
So someone
to
in
bring their
chat, we know
equipment.
you guys look like Discord mods behind the screen. You're wrong. Actually, we look like monkeys, but you know, good attempt. Good attempt.
I look like I look like I'm just an Ape Escape peepo. That's exactly what I look like.
Exactly. And I am literally Donkey Kong. You know, I've been studying English pretty well, but like, you know, I am actually, you know, you know, that's me. That's me on a real level.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. What did he go? I'm Donkey Kong. Okay.
Oh, that's good. That's too good.
But yeah. Okay. So regardless.
EK.
The Rillaboom squad versus the Guardian Ape. So what is the what is the strat for the Rillaboom party here? Like, if so, now
I feel like at this point they're kind of lost in their jam. I wonder if any of them are taking the battle seriously anymore.
yeah, like I wonder if
If
they
they-
would even notice as the Guardian Ape rears his head and walks towards them for the fight. Are they just gonna keep dancing? You know?
They're just like a traveling troupe at this point.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mort is immortal, right?
As far as we know, he survived everything and he's outlived all
Mort
of
can
his
wield the
ex-wives.
mortal blade then. Mort can be the one to wield the blade. And if Boots got it out of the backpack, it is in the battlefield. It
left
is
in
in
the
the arena.
Colosseum.
This was the most recent fight. So they would find the mortal blade. Mort is the only one who can wield it. And the Guardian Ape is still strong, so all they would have to do is weaken him. Okay, but the Guardian Ape does have some key weaknesses. In his first phase, before his head gets cut off, he's very, very vulnerable to loud flashing noises and lights. Sekiro has like firecracker extension that he can flash on the ground, and then the Guardian Ape gets really spooked and kind of stunned for a bit, and then he runs away and then comes back with like a grab attack or something. So do they have
I think
anything like that?
Rillaboom- I think Rillaboom actually has a unique move that's just his, that is literally just him beating on his drum as loud as he can.
Well, there you go. And this obviously, you know, kind of bardic energy would inspire the rest of the group while disorienting. So the first phase for them, bit of a cakewalk. As long, you know, there's no real limit to the amount of times he can use that move from what I'm aware of. So he can just keep doing it to stun lock the Guardian Ape, essentially. And
This also
then,
lowers
yeah.
the speed stat as well.
Exactly. So they have the Mortal Blade. Mort can easily wield it. I mean, it's very long, and Mort would probably struggle to lift it, but he could still use it. So then in the second phase, he's no longer vulnerable to that, and the biggest thing they would run, the biggest problem they would run into is the big terror scream that insta kills anybody who's within a certain radius. It doesn't, well, so you hear it and it like the meter starts filling up, so you could survive it for a little bit, but if you stood next to him and just heard it, then, you know, 1 second of that and you're toast. But they're all pretty fast, you know. You know, Rillaboom Gorilla can run around pretty fast. He could probably pick the others up and take them out of the radius of it. And obviously the you know, the neck wound is exposed at that point, and that's where the centipede is hiding. So What else? What else they have? They do have Harambe. Harambe, the spirit form.
I forgot about him. He's still here.
I don't know if he's really
us.
able to do anything in spirit form, but he is with them, and he is sort of, you know, if Mort absorbs Harambe's power, he does have the strength of a gorilla now, so he would be able to wield the mortal
So
blade quite handily, actually. Yeah.
That's how it works.
I think so. Okay, so wait. So there is a secret interaction with the guardian ape where what you can do is if you parry it enough times, and with a gorilla with a sword, Mort might be able to parry, you know, the guardian ape enough times. If he parries the guardian ape's sword enough times, the guardian ape will fall over. And if someone uses a spear, they can pull the centipede out early for massive damage. So would do any of these guys have some kind of spear attack? Something that they could lodge in the guardian ape's neck hole to pull out the centipede early?
I think if any of them would, it would have to... I don't know about a spear, but there might be something among the moves that can be taught to Rillaboom. Because there are tons that are like... Especially among grass types, right? Like that revolve around vines and stuff. Maybe something that could function similarly to extract the centipede. But I don't know.
This is so funny. Everyone's like, Boots, can you say spear attack? Boots died. I'm sorry, guys.
He's gone.
Boots died. But his sacrifice made defeating the guardian ape possible. It's all happening because of Boots.
His legacy means something here, and I think that's enough. I think his soul has moved on. He's moved on.
I know. Obviously, Mort wasn't present when Boots died, so he couldn't have absorbed Boots' soul and carried him with it. Boots is sadly left for the afterlife now. But you know, he lives on in a sense that he has given them the mortal blade that they need. So Rillaboom maybe is the backpack could have a spear in it. Well, the backpack's gone now. You know, as far as I'm aware, the backpack leaves. The mortal blade is not. It came out of the backpack, but it was left there. But you know, the backpack itself is one of Boots' powers.
He does fight with drumsticks. I don't know if that would be long enough to qualify as a spear.
Could the Ukiki, the Mario 64 monkey, could he steal the centipede from out of the guardian ape?
Could the centipede be considered clothing? Could it be a hat if he's no longer having...
oh my fucking god, I'm about to go crazy. So, here's the thing. In the second phase, the first phase, the guardian ape is very much an alive gorilla monkey style thing. He moves like a monkey, he acts like a monkey, he sounds like a monkey, obviously. In the second phase, he has weird posture and is sort of twisting and twirling. Oh, sorry, my mic went again. Twisting and twirling around.
Were you just pantomiming it?
Yeah, I was. Almost like the centipede assumes control. The centipede is the one controlling the guardian ape. So, in that sense, it's not that the centipede is clothing. The guardian ape is clothing. On the centipede. So, the Mario 64 monkey, with no limit to what he can potentially steal, as we have yet to see a limit, you know, he chooses the hat, but we don't know. He steals the guardian ape's entire body off of the centipede, and then, even though the only opponent left is a centipede and would thus be disqualified, Mort can assassinate it with the mortal blade, and then they win.
Oh, that changes the Uki is kind of OP. I never considered or expected this from the beginning.
I genuinely, Ukiki was on there as a joke, but we consider the clothing stealing factor, and it actually changes everything so much. Yeah, the centipede is wearing the guardian ape.
Anything.
Oh
you could argue that your skin is clothes, honestly.
I feel, okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe Uki could just steal your skin if he wanted to. Like, that's it, right? This is why it works. Because he always wants to steal a hat. But the guardian ape, in his second phase, has no head. So he has to go for the next best thing, which is his whole body. Really, the closest thing to a hat that the centipede is wearing is the guardian ape's entire body.
That is insane. That is insane.
I can't believe the Rillaboom party.
I think it's just for the band, yeah.
Oh my god, they did it. Holy shit. Shabani is up here! Shabani versus Spectre. Are any of the mind-controlled Spectre monkeys female?
Well, I don't know about. I think most of the regular people, they're either male or just like genderless. However, he does have these like elite people that are like smarter and can speak, and I think a couple of them are girls. But I don't think they were ever in the consideration.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think, yeah, it's kind of a stretch to assume because also Shabani seems to have this impact on human women, you know. So
Yeah.
I think in that sense, Shabani probably doesn't have much power over Spectre. Let me Google this. Is Spectre gay?
Honestly,
Spectre.
I think he would be. There's another villain that he works really closely with, called Dr. Tomoki, and they're together all the time. I don't know.
I mean, I just went to the Ape Escape wiki. He looks kind of gay. Like he looks a little. Well, he looks a little twinkish. He looks kind of fruity. You know what I mean? So
How
I feel
does
like
a monkey look twinkish?
he does. Like from the Million Monkeys thing. Oh no, he kind of. I mean, look, he's like a. He looks like fucking Kakashi from what is it, Tokyo Ghoul. So
You know what? I think I see your vision, actually.
Right?
I was looking at him again. It's been a while since
he
I've seen
doesn't
his
have a
face.
confirmed likes. Dislikes humans, bananas, people that will stop at nothing to prevent him from executing his world domination plan. Okay. Well, I don't know if there's any confirmation about a sexuality for Kaneki, Kakashi. What the? I have never seen either of these shows. Okay, leave me alone. Kakashi. Okay, he's from Naruto. Kaneki is from Tokyo Ghoul. I've never seen either of them. I don't know. I'm sure they're brilliant. Kakashi from Tokyo. You're never gonna let me. They're never gonna let me live this down. But
do you know the how frequently I have to cope with the reality that I've never seen Jujutsu Kaisen, despite looking the way that I do?
yeah,
I don't know the first thing about the show.
I think it's just the thing. I look a lot like Hua Chang, but I've never read the novel that he's from, and I just have to live with that. You know, I can just kind of observe that from afar. But that's pretty funny.
Maybe it could sway Spectre, but I again, this is a real life gorilla
versus, yeah, I think Spectre,
a cartoonish video game super villain capable of mass invention and manipulation.
if he can mind control Shabani, he can, because Shabani is just an ape. Shabani doesn't even know what's going on. So if he can mind control Shabani, he controls all the women on the planet. So I think Spectre wins. I think Spectre wins there.
Wait, is this like a defeat, or is this another joint party moment? Does Shabani join
Oh my god,
people?
Shabani joins Spectre. Yeah, I guess so, because he would see him as too useful to, you know, if he dislikes humans, he wants to mind control humans. So he then has access to controlling all the women on the planet, and then that's 50% of the Earth's population. Holy fuck.
His riz is just too strong to pass up. That's insane.
Holy fuck. Okay.
That is insane.
So, right. So that's now the Shabani Spectre duo that are moving along. And then Donkey Kong versus the Rillaboom party.
Oh.
I do not think Donkey Kong would ever fight these guys. Like, Donkey Kong loves music. The DK rap, right? The DK rap. I think that he would just come in with the DK rap and they would keep moving it, you know?
Yeah, I really think I so badly want Donkey Kong to have a solo victory by the end of this, but I don't think he would do it. He would see them just having a good time, and I don't think he'd raise his fist.
Donkey Kong would chill if they are able to get bananas together. If they Donkey Kong's biggest motivation is bananas. So if these are all other apes, gorillas, whatever, and if they're all just sort of like, hey, do you want to go get some bananas after this? He would be like, and then they would go do that. So I think Donkey Kong, ooh, banana. I think that, yeah, I can't see them fighting. I think that he joins the Rillaboom party. So then we're left with, now this is a very interesting one, because obviously we have Shabani. As far as I'm aware, is Ukiki of a female monkey? I think they're all male, from what I'm aware of. Rillaboom.
Yeah,
I mean, Rillaboom can be male or female. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure, though.
Rillaboom is, it's kind of rare, because I think most starters are majority female, but I think Rillaboom is 90% male.
Okay, so Rillaboom is male.
Or something close to that.
King Julian and Mort are both male. They have the souls of his ex-wives, which are female, but Mort has control of them. Ukiki, I assume, is male. And Spinning Gorilla, we don't know. Spinning Gorilla, we don't know.
We do not know.
I don't think there's any way that we'll ever find out what the sex of the Spinning Gorilla actually is. So I don't think Shabani has much power over this group. And also, here's the thing: could they join up? I don't think so, because I'm reading on the Ape Escape wiki. Spectre dislikes bananas.
Yeah, no, he hates them. He doesn't want to be treated like a monkey. He wants to be treated as an equal among humans, and that's why he hates humans.
If he dislikes bananas and he doesn't want to be seen like a monkey, he wouldn't want to join this party that are just aping out all the time. So they would try to fight, but I think given that they cleared the Guardian Ape, I think that this party beats Spectre and Shabani, surely. I mean, it's just Spectre has mind control. He could do all of this kind of stuff. Could Ukiki just steal his like mind control helmet?
Wait, that changes everything. That also applies for Spectre. A lot of his abilities, like even his basic ability to speak and communicate, if I remember correctly, it is actually linked to the headgear that he built for himself to wear. So if Ukiki's entire ability is stealing clothes, especially
headgear, Ukiki steals the headgear while Rillaboom plays it. Obviously, we got Donkey Kong now. Donkey Kong would be able to just flatten Spectre anyway. But
smash everything.
But yeah, they steal that, and then all of the mind-controlled monkeys join the party. So a small army. Spectre is dead, taken care of. Donkey Kong punches him into a different galaxy. The Rillaboom party moves on. The losers finals. Rillaboom and like 17 other apes and a small army versus Gorilla Grodd, who also has mind control. So what happens here?
Oh, I'm sick of Grodd. I want to see him go down so bad. How can we make this happen?
I'm sick of thinking about Gorilla Grodd. Well, Gorilla Grodd is fast, but could Gorilla... Well, we have to look at it. Gorilla Grodd versus Donkey Kong. That's the big one.
These are the real players here.
So,
I feel like the rest of them, they're just there in the background. They're giving us the epic BGM for the final battle.
Okay. So Gorilla Grodd on the on like a power scaling level, they tier him at 8C. He has superhuman strength. He's incredibly fast. He has mind control, telepathy, all of that kind of stuff. Telepathic gorilla. Donkey Kong, on the other hand, is fucking ridiculous. Donkey Kong, speed, higher with the Ultra Barrel, faster than light speed, so he also is incredibly fast. Gorilla Grodd probably a little bit faster, but they've only got so much space in this little jungle arena to run around in. They're both at standard melee range, multi-continent level durability, multi-continent level attack potency. So if Donkey Kong can send the moon flying with a single punch, physically stronger than Mario and has fought him several times, easily buried Wario in the dirt with a double-handed swing. So apparently his attack potency, large star level. So he could potentially, so Donkey Kong might be able to destroy the sun, according to this website. So
wow,
I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong just solos Gorilla Grodd.
I think he'd solo anybody other than Sun Wukong.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I think this is for the Rillaboom party.
Rillaboom beats Gorilla Grodd. Goodbye, Gorilla Grodd. Thank God. Yeah, I mean, Gorilla Grodd, what? He in that one episode, apparently he couldn't even beat Obama. I mean, Obama's still alive today, so yeah. I guess Gorilla Grodd failed at even killing Obama, and Obama's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just a human man.
The Rillaboom party advances. Gorilla Grodd, third place. The finals, the grand finals, after a historic losers run. Rillaboom. The spinning. Let's remember who is with us at this point in time.
I was recounting it moments ago. It's the goofiest chain of events ever.
The spinning gorilla, Ukiki, King Julian and Mort, Donkey Kong, and the army and Spectre's army vanquish Gorilla Grodd and make their way to the grand.
Also includes Shabani.
Make their way to the grand finals, and I'll have to adjust the screen a little bit so we can see it because it's not letting me mouse over any further. The final battle. Sun Wukong versus the Rillaboom party, which if we're being honest, is ridiculous. But I think that when it comes to why is there village noises? I still have Minecraft open. I just realized that. I gotta close that. That's hilarious.
Have you had Minecraft playing?
I had
whole
Minecraft
time?
open this whole time. What the fuck? What the fuck? All right, I just had to save and quit to the fucking thing. Okay, I promise you guys, I've not been playing it. I just forgot to close the game. Oh, that's hilarious.
He's just really excited for the Minecraft movie.
Damn, I wasn't playing it. Okay, listen. So, I think the big question here is that obviously, in terms of his feats of strength across all of folklore and fiction and mythology alike, Sun Wukong is one of the most powerful characters, not just monkey, but of any species in invention. But
Yeah.
the question is, does the Monkey King like to move it?
Every story I've ever heard about Sun Wukong is that he's chill, he's cool, and he's woke. I think he'd be down to party.
Hell yeah, I like the sound of that. So really, at the end of the day, even though it would feel wrong to do, Sun Wukong, whichever god entity is organizing this tournament of monkeys, I don't think they're as powerful as Sun Wukong. So even though, in like a Hunger Games scenario, they'd be like, there must be a victor, Sun Wukong would say, nah, bro, let's hang out. And so Sun Wukong and Donkey Kong and Rillaboom and the Spinning Gorilla and Ukiki and all of the other gorillas freed from Spectre's control just go pull all the bananas off the trees and they hang out and they have a good time.
Honestly, that's like the best outcome you could hope for from the losers bracket. It's like total redemption.
I think so. It's like all of them, everyone fights to the death in the winners bracket, and then being sent into the losers bracket, it gives them a sense of a need to, they reflect. They reflect on what it really matters to them. And at the end of the day, while chimpanzees, monkeys, apes are really easily agitated and they fight and they can rip each other to shreds and are very violent, at the end of the day, their biggest motivation will always be food, and their favorite food will always be bananas. And these guys would love to eat bananas together, and I feel like Donkey Kong and Sun Wukong, even they would make up. Donkey Kong would go, "Rrr." Now, that is an interesting question. Donkey Kong, I think, would be down to chill with the other guys, but would he be too angry at Sun Wukong? Would he be would he be able to control himself after his previous defeat, or would he have learned better and realized there's nothing I can do to fight him and then just admit defeat?
Is Donkey Kong, and specifically our current reigning Donkey Kong, I think he's the third.
Yes.
Is he prone to a temper? Is he prone to grudges?
I know he's definitely a very simple-minded ape, and he's definitely a very violent ape, but is he prone to temper tantrums? I don't know. I know that he's very much capable of relaxation. I think he would hold a grudge. He seems like the type to kind of let something get under his skin, especially considering he can be very selfish, like this is Cranky Kong we're talking about, but in the original Donkey Kong, he just kidnaps Pauline and just because he's like, hey, this is a pretty lady and all that kind of stuff. Donkey Kong does, we have to question, would his, he doesn't hold a grudge against Mario, to be fair. Like, after Mario has thwarted Donkey Kong, even in Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, Attack of the was it the Toy Bots?
Like the Toy
Bots? Or maybe that's I think that's a Nickelodeon game.
That is.
Yeah, I can't believe we both played that. March of the Minis.
The same thing,
March of the Minis is the second one. That's crazy.
I
We
know
both
exactly
made.
what you're talking about, though.
It's crazy. We both played both of those and made the same
is
exact mistake.
yeah.
March of the Minis is that one. But
about forever.
March of the Minis is that one. So in that one, Mario thwarts Donkey Kong and steals Pauline back and all of that kind of stuff. And yet, Donkey Kong still appears in Mario Kart and Mario Party and isn't actually trying to pull Mario's head off. So
But he's just balling.
I
He's
think
just here to party.
when it comes down to a party setting, Donkey Kong is perfectly capable of obeying the rules and, and relaxing. So for that reason, I think that they would just barely be able to broker peace between Donkey Kong and Sun Wukong, and they would be able to have a party. In which case, I think that we can basically just say that while Sun Wukong is the strongest monkey of all time, The Rillaboom part. I just want to click Rillaboom so that it says Rillaboom beats Sun Wukong in a fight. I just want that to be an out of context screenshot. So there we have it, guys. There we have it.
Unity and music triumphs overall.
So that's a lesson we've got to learn from today, guys. No matter how powerful or strong you think you are, you will never be stronger than the weakest among us getting together and uniting over a common goal, which can be to enjoy some lovely bananas, listen to music, and to move it. And
the final count is the most ridiculous thing ever.
This is the ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like, I pray that this does not reach like the Sun Wukong fandom who take this out of context. Listen, everybody, these guys, Sun Wukong would win in any actual physical test of strength, but these guys love each other. These guys are going to form a strong bond. And really, an empire of monkeys ruled by Sun Wukong and Donkey Kong together would be the greatest empire on Earth. They would vanquish
I want to live there.
Yeah, me too. I feel like that'd be fun, you know?
That's my Planet of the Apes.
Everyone would be... Damn, that goes hard, actually. Holy shit, bars. Bars. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm genuinely reflecting on how big the party's gotten over. Like even Shabani is there by vice of being absorbed into Spectre's army. It's really like half of the bracket at this point.
I'm just so this is the final bracket at the end of all of it. I mean, look at the size of this. Look at the
oh my god.
Let me show this on screen real quick, the whole thing. Just look at everything we did today. This is absolutely massive, but at the end of the day, you know, we had all of this stuff happen. Think about the very beginning, King Louis versus Winston, all the way down to an entire group of Rillaboom and all of his homies versus Sun Wukong that immediately results in Sun Wukong teaming up with everybody and everybody having a good time. So at the end of the day, guys, yeah, if I wanted to say something about this, learn, you know, this time we saw a little more unity, a little more love between people, you know? It doesn't matter if you're stronger than somebody else. It doesn't matter if you think you're better than somebody else. Everybody can join together, and then, you know, we can all enjoy some bananas and a good time. So whatever, right?
Teamwork makes the dream work. There's no reason to conform to this arbitrary system that pits us against each other.
Just like this random tournament of gorillas, they suddenly realize, why are we doing this when we could just have a good time and eat some bananas? So there you go. In the end, chat, very well done. Love wins. Love wins.
Love wins.
Thank you, Calyx, for joining me for this absolutely ridiculous stream. This is... Oh my god, someone just pointed out it's like Avengers Endgame, like Rillaboom, like Donkey Kong turns to Rillaboom and they're like, it's like, how many chances do we have to beat Sun Wukong? And he's like, 1 in 14,605. And the only one where they win is the one where they just all hang out and have a party. Really? I wonder what the odds were of this particular bracket happening that caused us to come up with all of these different ideas. The big one was Boots versus the Guardian Ape. That was the big one that really shook the foundations of everything. So much changed because of this. And like, if Boots had moved on, Boots would have joined, and it would have, like, if Boots... Man, like, so much would have changed, but the only thing was that he couldn't wield the mortal blade. And thankfully, but Mort somehow being immortal, which I didn't know. Apparently, Mort is immortal. That's another thing.
The addition of Mort to Julian's party.
But it makes sense. It's a part of his power, you know, his command over his people, including Mort.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I do wonder how differently this might have gone if we had been stricter. Like would there have been a single victor by the end?
I think, well, yeah, I mean, in the end, it still would have been Sun Wukong. Like, Sun Wukong definitely would have won. Yeah. I think, which is why I'm glad we went for a more roundabout, like, oh, let's just figure out who would win in what scenario with our rough rudimentary understanding of these characters, because otherwise this is going to be, well, yeah, you know, there's clearly... If we think about each character in a literal sense, there's a very clear winner in most cases, but it always comes down to Sun Wukong. So I think this being the ending is definitely the best. I'm so glad I added the losers bracket. I was considering not doing it because I thought maybe it would be a little long, but this was like the greatest narrative that has emerged on stream in such a long time. Like, I was so invested in these characters.
I did not for a second when you described the concept. I never expected this kind of a timeline forming. like I keep mentioning the word continuity. Like I did not expect any of the brackets to relate to each other at all. So to have a clear, like I want this as a storyboard now.
Exactly.
I want to see this as like a 3-arc anime or something.
This is like Ape Smash Bros. This is like, there needs to be something that just gets all the licensing for these different characters and brings them together, you know?
As like a new age subspace emissary type of story.
They're saying Boots is Iron Man. He sacrificed himself to defeat the big bad guardian ape Thanos. And then, oh my god, that really Boots was the real hero of this whole thing. Like,
yeah, he's the martyr. He did everything for everyone else in the end.
It changed so much of certainly my attitude towards figuring this out when we realized the whole audience participation thing. Like, I think that changed so much about the way we approached all of these, and I'm so glad we did, because this is just so much funnier as a result.
Oh, I'm on cloud 9 right now. Thank you so much for the
thank
you for the invite.
So welcome, and thank you for joining me for this absolutely insane, ridiculous stream. This is the most I've smiled in a long time.
I was gonna say it's been a long time since I've talked about monkeys at length like this with another person, but I don't know if I ever have in my entire life.
It's
like,
rare.
I don't think long time covers it. I don't think I've ever been in a space like this where I can just compare different fictional monkeys. That is ridiculous.
Is truly a match made in heaven, and I'm so glad.
It's like a reward.
I'd like to imagine that, like, when you were auditioning and like in the Niji hiring process, they were like already thinking like, yeah, this guy's really good. He's definitely got what it takes. And then they hear you say like, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of monkeys. They're like,
I literally
now
showed
this
my
guy,
collection in
good
my audition video.
with good collabs with Vox. Now this is definitely something we could use, and then that's like the final straw that makes them decide to hire you. Is like, this guy's gonna be able to talk about monkeys with Vox. This is gonna be so great.
I remember in my application video, I included a picture of my collection of plush monkeys.
Holy
and I also
shit.
I had to fast, because for mine I didn't script it. I just talked at length just from the top of my head, because I thought that'd be the best. And I remember there was a part that I had to fast forward to the point that it was incomprehensible because I started talking about monkeys.
It's your desk, your setup with all of your collection of monkeys is absolutely insane. It's the most ridiculous monkey collection I've ever seen. It puts mine to shame.
That's not even
frankly.
half of it.
It's not even half of it. How does bro have so many apes? I need to catch up. I've got a bunch, but you know,
I just started early.
I'm an enthusiast.
Your theory might be true. That could be why I'm here.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. I think I do need to. I need to grab something to eat. I'm getting pretty hungry, and I need to get some stuff figured out. But yeah,
well,
guys. Thank you very much for joining us for the Great Ape Debate. I had a wonderful time. Thank you, Calyx, for joining me and for being... I feel like no way could I have run this by myself. Glad to have had another verified monkey expert here helping me figure this all out. And yeah, any closing thoughts?
Thank you again for the invite. Thank you as well for explaining all the ones that I wasn't as familiar with. It's made me really want to watch a lot of things that I've not seen before.
Me too. Me too. You got to watch Planet of the Apes. You have got to watch Planet of the Apes. Those go so hard. Like, just pure monkey aura farming from beginning to end. They're very, very good films.
Yeah, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it more than I can say, honestly.
Oh man,
especially
so
this
welcome.
early. It made me very happy.
Yeah, of course. No. I'm super keen. I'm really proud of what you guys by the beat have been doing. You're really popping off in a great way, and you're such great singers. And just it's nice to have more people as a part of Niji who have like so much excitement like you guys do. It's really cool.
Thank you so much.
Oh my god, dude, it's good. It's good. Don't worry about it. But I'm just very proud. But yeah, that's gonna do it from me and from Calyx, and we're gonna go chill out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Donkey Kong.
DK.